Good morning. It is December 3rd, 2024, and welcome to the Klickitat County Commissioners regular meeting. We'll note that Commissioner Zoller, Commissioner Anderson are in the room, and Mr. Christopher is online. So we'll start with the Pledge of Allegiance. To the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you. So business agenda.
Commissioner Christopher, do you have anything to add to the business agenda?
Nope.
Okay. Madam Chair, I would make a motion to approve the business agenda with one add-on under meeting change after public comment, as well as amend the business agenda to show that we will be back in session at 1 p.m. The lunch online did not show a time to be returning.
The lunch online, what are you talking about?
So on the agenda that was posted online, it didn't have a time for us returning.
Okay, got it. Thank you. I'll second the motion.
Motion and a second. Any discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Motion passes. Thank you. So we are to public comment, and we love to hear from our public. If you have comments in the room, raise your hand and we'll ask you to come forward and identify yourself at the microphone if you can. If you are on Zoom, please unmute yourself or raise your hand so that we can see you and call on you to speak. And comment, we hope, is to be civil with no personal attacks and made for information for the commissioners so we can get things done for our county. Thank you very much. So we'll start in the room. Anybody wish to speak this morning? I see no one. So good morning, Kaylee. You're the first hand up.
Good morning, commissioners. Hope you guys had a great long Thanksgiving weekend. I missed last week's meeting and I caught up on it this morning at about 4 a.m. And I was very, very, very disappointed with public comment last week. So here we go. I want to express my concern regarding recent public comments that have circulated containing misinformation. While I firmly believe in the importance of open dialogue and the right to express opinions, it is equally vital that such discourse is grounded in factual accuracy and a shared commitment to constructive engagement. Misinformation has the potential to damage reputations, derail productive efforts, and foster unnecessary division. I urge all participants to verify their statements before contributing to the conversation and to prioritize collaboration over conflict. Let's move forward with the shared understanding that progress is best achieved through transparency, mutual respect, and truth. So with that being said, I just, we have enough division in this world. We have enough negativity in this world. We are a small county where, I guess in quotes, everybody knows everybody. And the people that are here for the long haul, we just need to come together, reach across the table, and get stuff done instead of just slandering or being upset about election results or anything of that matter. Jake, I just kind of wanted to thank you that you have continued to work your butt off to see your term through. I appreciate it. While you and I might not have complete agreement in all things, I think it's something to say for somebody who's leaving that position, that you are showing up, you're voting, and you really do want what's best for not only the Board of County Commissioners, but for our county. So I will leave it there. I just wanted to thank you guys and just, implore the public to be a little bit more positive and let's all work together. Thank you.
Thank you, Kaylee. Back in the room. Public comment from anyone this morning? Okay, back online. Please raise your hand or unmute. We'd be glad to call on you. Rick?
Yeah, can you hear me?
Yes.
All right. So, good morning. It's Rick Isaacson from Lisle. I'm wondering about a few things from last week's meeting. You said that we had bad information. You said there will not be any layoffs. You said nothing is going on at the airport. Lori, yes or no, when things come to fruition like things do, then will you step down? And Jake, knowing there's an elected official like you who likes to drink with minors and use connections to get out of it, let me tell you, 12, 31, 24, and 11, 59, 59, those are going to be the sweetest numbers I've ever heard. Now, Lori, you are in month 11 of 12-month term of the Columbia Gorge Regional Airport Board. How is it that you are just now trying to catch up with the paperwork as you stated in the last BOCC meeting? Can you produce that paperwork? I would like to see it. If not, why not, and what paperwork is missing? There are only a couple of reasons I can think of that leads to missing paperwork, and one of those reasons is that you do not have the clearance from the FAA for what is being built on the airport. Anyone and everyone driving by the airport can see the halting construction. Now, how could that be? So again, I ask for the good of Klickitat County that you step down. I see in Oregon that commissioners doing what you've done and less are now being under arrest. Okay, that's what all I have this week, and I'll be back next week. Thanks.
Thank you, Mr. Isaacson. Okay, back in the room. Adrian, would you like to speak this morning? Good morning.
Good morning, Commissioners. Thank you for this permission and right to speak. I certainly second Kayla's comments about last week's meeting. I was listening online and a couple of the people who called in, I knew who they were, so I went to one of them where I don't really get where you come up with that information. What's the source of it? And after a long discussion, I realized there was no source of it. It was just rumor that he had gotten from somebody. And he said, he really said, I'm really sorry. I thought it was all fact. And at any rate, I have more important things to say too. Persistent efforts by Richard Foster and Economic Development and his staff and a long-term encouragement from our Commissioner Zoller, a large grant of funding has been confirmed available to pay for Klickitat County's portion of a regional occupational learning facility at the airport. And Columbia Gorge Regional Airport Industrial Park portion. The grant amount is hoped to be $1.5 million, but with some federal staff cooperation, the amount now is understood to be $2.5 million, and it may be specified as industrial park development funds, which is just wonderful information, but it's taken a long time for that to become reality. As a private citizen and business person who uses the airport and various services and frequently attends their board meetings, I want to give special thanks to Mr. Foster and Commissioner Zoller for their tireless professional efforts. It takes so much long-term effort to get funds like that identified and then solidified. And I highly compliment you from the whole county for your strong efforts, and Mr. Foster as well. The regional airport is a very important factor in the overall growth of our Klickitat County in partnership with a community college providing a bi-state occupational skill instruction. This can be a powerful ingredient for this growth. And my personal hope is that this facility is, when it's ready for students, it will expand its focus beyond just fixed wing aircraft to include VTOL and technologies of the drone industry, which is already present in our community, in our county. So I thank you for the time.
Thank you, Mr. Radford. Back online. Please raise your hand or unmute. Renee? Did you wish to give comment this morning? I think you're unmuted. We can't hear you. Is there anyone else? We could give Renee a minute and then come back to her if she was to speak. So anyone else online this morning? Not seeing anyone. Guess it's a cold, quiet morning. 7211. Uh-oh.
Good morning, paid
Good morning.
public servants. This is Greg Wagner with CEAS. I want to ask you a couple questions. It's a simple yes or no questions. Didn't you commissioners swear on your oath of office to uphold the laws of the state of Washington? Do local county ordinance supersede Washington state laws? Mr. Anderson, you have stated on the May 7th hearing for the Cypress Creek franchise was done legally because Public Works posted the notices. I've asked you multiple times to produce those RCWs and you haven't produced them. I don't believe they exist. You stated in your last meeting that people bring problems to the board, but no solutions. And that's another false statement. I brought a problem to the board, which was your unpermitted illegal short-term rental. I brought a solution. You should follow the enshrined trusted process and obtain a conditional use permit for your unpermitted short-term rental. The former planning director, Mochi Lindblad, who you praised for her knowledge in planning, told you 3 times in 2023 that your unpermitted illegal short-term rental required a conditional use permit. But you've ignored her, and you've ignored the laws and the ordinances and never got a conditional use permit. So when are you going to do that? You have used your position to receive special privileges and exemptions, violating RCW 4223. But hey, that's just a Washington law, and you took an oath to uphold them, but instead you violate them. You told people we all must play by the same rules. So when are you going to start doing that? Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Wagner. In the room. Good morning, Mr. Edelman.
Good morning. I'm Scott Edelman, a property owner in rental near Goldendale area. I want to express appreciation for Kaylee and Adrian's comments. Exactly what we want to hear, positive input, things that can help us move forward. The other comments, not necessary. I just want to say something that I said to you, the 3 board members, about a year ago, and I'm going to bring it up later today. I gave an example of Harrison Ford, who was in an interview, and I cannot pronounce the co-star's name in Indiana Jones, Temple of the Skulls or something like that. But Shia LaBeouf, I'll say. But he came out, Shia came out criticizing the movie, saying, yeah, worst mistake of my life, horrible movie. Harrison Ford said, you do not criticize the movie you're in. That's how I feel as a staff. We do not criticize the movie we're in. We're here, we can make input. People on committees, people who have access to the commissioners, have a chance to make input. They don't need to make it here. I think they need to be involved. I encourage people to be involved, get in committees where you can make a difference. People, let's say in the Dallas airport, they have a chance to be involved. Our commissioners are very active. They're out in the public. They have a chance. This is not the place for that kind of thing. I just want to encourage the public to get involved in committees, be on the inside. Don't criticize it. Be on the inside so you can make a difference. So that's all I want to say today.
Thank you very much. Back online. Zero, 0088.
Delmer Eldred, Goldendale. Yeah, I was just curious. As I understand, the commissioners have approved $20,000 for child care at White Salmon. Where did they get the authority to assign taxpayer dollars for that? And who was the money assigned to, that $20,000? And also on the franchise agreement, what have you guys I mean, that land that you're talking about for the easement is as I understand, is in dispute actually who owns that. And I don't think the county has followed the required steps they're going to have any authority over that, approving that franchise. And before they have a hearing on it, they should have all the things necessary that they have to have in place to even talk about putting that franchise agreement in. Anyway, that's all I have to say for today.
Thank you. Back in the room. No? Online, please raise your hand or unmute. 2662.
Good morning, Commissioners. This is Tracy from Lyle. And I watched the video from last week, just yesterday when it was posted. And I noticed that some of the things were not discussed in the meeting that were on, say, the consent agenda. There was something about KVH and Jeff King, something about communications that was wireless. And I didn't hear anything about that in the meeting. But I did hear one comment that Jake made, a statement that Jake made, and it was with the FAA, and he was saying how federal agencies at best will maybe respond from 3 to 5 years. That's how long it takes to respond to a question, this was with the airport. And I would just like to say that that's true. Federal agencies are difficult, if not impossible, for consumers or members at large to get a hold of as well. I'm sure that you folks have an easier time in Klickitat County because of CASIFA. So Klickitat County Interagency Fire Association, some of the agencies that come to the roundtable are the Scenic Gorge Commission, the Forest Service, the Oregon Department of Forestry, the USDA, DNR, the U.S. Fire Administration, the Science and Technology, the Fire Safety and Research Institute, the Rocky Mountain Research Center, and there's a list of more. The Corps of Engineers, and I could go on. These are just emails on the different things that go through CASIFA. Now, CASIFA has gone through a private domain. It's lyofire.com, and it's private. So a member at large would have a difficult time doing a public record request. Now, I found that Bingen had all those records, and I was able to get those emails through a record request through Bingen. And there's over 700,000 emails, and I'm just slowly going through them. But this is what I'm asking you, commissioners, and the public. If all of these agencies, both federal, state, national, like the Scenic Gorge, local, if all of these agencies are on the phone or at the round table speaking to each other, and this doesn't include any members at large, then they could actually come up with plans, responses, legislation, because even the legislatures are like Gina Mossbrecher came to the CASIFA meeting. But this would be done with taxpayers' money without taxpayer knowledge. And I have a hard time with any community or coalition or task force or any other agency that doesn't invite members at large.
Thank you, Tracy. Thank you.
Thank you.
Back in the room. No one this morning. Mr. Rizzi.
Good morning, commissioners. I would like to back up everything that I said at last weekend or last meeting last week, but I would like to also add to it that after going over the DOC department flow chart on page 160, I noticed that there's 3 positions that have been left out. And I know that the Sheriff's Department sent over that information 3 separate times. But by leaving that information out, not only are you putting our safety at large at risk and the people in the jail, but you're putting the jailers themselves at risk because now they'll have to be working overtime, and everyone knows that's ever worked long hours and overtime that's where problems and mistakes happen. You just paid out $2 million. Actually, the insurance company paid out $2 million for something that we shouldn't even have paid any money out on, because jail hangings happen all the time, all across the United States, not just in our jail. But if you're going to leave those three positions out, then what you're doing is you're making it very difficult for our jailers to be able to do their job. And this is just wrong. Again, information was sent to you when you made up your budget and your DOC, you just went ahead and ignored it. So again, I hope everyone out there realizes that you're putting our community at risk. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Rizzi. Good morning, Gabriella Gilbert.
Hi. First of all, anybody who loses their child in the jail due to that unfortunate incident that could have been prevented is a tragedy. And there is no amount of money, there's no amount of money that could ever fill that hole of that loss. And it is disrespectful to treat anyone who lost their life in that jail because of incompetence. It is so disrespectful because that person was a community member as well. I also want to shout out to the commissioners for the $20,000 to childcare. I understand that is, I think, to the youth center, and if that's the case, well done. And just always consider that they've always been on a budget where they can always use more, and to find ways in which you can increase that. It's important for the youth, and childcare is so necessary, and what the youth center provides is just an incredible service for the community members and for families and for the kids. So shout out to that. December, I want to say the 22nd is the next childcare committee meeting. I hope that you can make it. Commissioner Zoller, it's important they are gathering information on surveys about the need for childcare, about the need for housing, how those are interconnected. And I think that this county coming into next year has to really address the desert of childcare and the cost of housing, and the economic build that you do for a community. So those are my thoughts, and happy holidays. All right. Thank you so much.
Thank you very much, Gabby. In the room. So back online. Anyone else this morning? Good morning, Sherry.
Good morning, commissioners. I come in peace. You know, it's very unfortunate that it feels like, I'm watching 87 participants online, and that's wonderful. It's very wonderful. And I'm happy to see that, because I don't know much about government. And I guess Jake tells me that too, because I don't know my civics or whatever. But what I have come to believe is that our government is to represent the people and our inalienable rights. And it's unfortunate this is getting to a point where it's getting gaslit back to the people who make comments and the people who are trying to keep our government accountable for the decisions you make. One day you said, hey, I'm going to register to be a public servant. I'm going to run for it. I'm going to ask you to vote for me. And I'm going to take an oath of office to swear to uphold the laws, Constitution, all that other stuff. I can read the oath to you, but you took it, you signed it. You know what you did. So when the people who are to govern our government come back and say, hey, you know, there's these RCWs. I mean, you even have them in your code book. Apparently, there's a couple code books hanging out that the planning department has another special one, which I don't agree with. We should all be using one code book. Come on now. So we all know the rules. And the people were not disrespectful. In fact, I say things actually, hopefully, that you guys would care, you know, about the decisions you make and the people that are being hurt with the decisions being made by our county. You know, we should all care when people's lives are injured and hurt and their properties are injured and devalued and hurt because of special favors, under canvas, dean mining. We can go on and on. But we should care when people are hurt. And so we're trying to keep you accountable. And Greg will pull out RCWs, yet nothing's done. We aren't disrespectful. We are trying to hopefully educate you. Oh, the franchise agreement. That's another dirty one. You know, we're trying to keep you accountable. We do it in a nice and pleasant way, but yet you turn around and you gaslight us like we're doing bad things. And it's not us. It's us asking you to obey your own rule books, your code books, your statutes, whatever. You know, so it's not pretty watching you guys act like victims. It's really, you know, unprofessional on your part. And it's needs to really stop, and you need to start obeying the laws, and you need to care about the people and the decisions you make. And I've been wanting to ask this question with my precious 3 minutes. I keep forgetting, you know, during COVID, the continuing operation of government or something like that got 7 brand new trailers to house COVID people. What happened to those trailers? Just curious. All right. Start caring about the people. Stop gaslighting. Thank you.
Thank you, Sherry. In the room? Nope. So back online. Not seeing anyone. Wait a couple of seconds and then maybe move on to our regular agenda. If you do wish to speak, please raise your hand or unmute. Ara?
Good morning, Ara and Lyle. I just wanted to follow up on the if there's anything in the works in terms of rules and regulations, in terms of rules and regulations in starting and running a commercial business on the general rural zone area on a private shared driveway. I came online on the meeting 4 weeks ago, Lori, and you told me that there was something like a news for me or an answer for me, or you've gathered something along those lines, and to call the code compliance officer, which I did, and he had confirmed with me that there is sadly nothing in the works in terms of rules and regulations in commercial business, like the short-term rental on highly residential or general rural zones. And I'm still hoping for enforcing some kind of regulations so that, you know, everyone lives peacefully and nobody disrupts peace. And I'm just trying to understand if there is anything for the people on the driveway that I live in my neighborhood. And I'm speaking in behalf of everyone else that lives where I live. And hopefully there's something for us. And if there's none, what do we do about the commercial business that are rising and are penetrating into the general rural zones where people live, you know, in peace all this time? And that's all. If there is something, you know, yes or no, that's all I need to know. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Ara. Back in the room. Good morning, Sheriff Songer.
I have a lot to say, but I'll hold off on that until later. But I would like to make a comment to Commissioner Zoller. Pretty much completed the complaint you filed last year in regards to Quinnell's office providing information to the Water Conservancy and records being destroyed when they shouldn't be. So that was looked into, and also looked into your complaint in regards to Jake Anderson's involvement in water rights and so forth. I will have a completed report on that and the findings. And I need you to let me know what you want to do with the records you had me seize, and they're locked up in my evidence room. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Songer. Jean?
Hey, good morning, everybody. I just wanted to make a couple of comments. Looking at the agenda for today, very encouraged about the broadband letter that's looking to get approved. I'm very excited to learn that there's more. It looks like there's some sort of improvement to the efforts across the county to improve broadband, so more affordable, more reliable broadband. That's what we're looking for. I'm super grateful for that. Also wanted to say I'm super grateful for, so I live in Snowden and I travel to and from work on Snowden Road. And that can oftentimes be an area with some speed concerns. And I was happily surprised, and I did send a note out to Sheriff Songer and Under Sheriff Nopes that there was a Klickitat County Sheriff enforcing traffic out there last week, and I'm super grateful for that. So I just wanted to say those two things, and I really appreciate you guys. Thank you so much, and have a good day.
Thank you, Jean. So in the room. No. Back online. I'm not seeing anyone. No one? Okay. So we will close for public comment and move to commissioners if they'd like to comment back. Who would like to start this morning? Mr. Christopher, do you have comments back this morning?
At this time, I do not have comments back, but I would like to reserve my opportunity in case there's something my seatmates say that I would like to clarify. But at this time, I do not have anything.
Okay, thank you. Let me see, I'll go through my quick notes. I have a lot to comment on. Kaylee, thank you. Thank you for getting up early and taking your time before going to work to look at our meetings. And two words that I believe in that you said are verify, verify, verify. And we talked about that last week. And also collaboration. It's important that we work together. I think public comment is intended just for that, not for personal attacks or assumptions or opinions, but it should be a time the public can come forward and bring us issues, just like Jean from Lyle Snowden Road and the others that commented today, not to kind of stir the pot or voice our disdain. There's a lot of other places that can be done if you have something that needs to be answered. Again, we offered last week, our phones are always available. We had take meetings all the time. And from the people that complained last week, I did not again get a call, and I never have over the time of Mr. Isaacson and Mr. Rizzi, and we come forward with new things all the time that are, again, personal attacks, not founded, and it's too bad that we take up the good public's time with that type. It will march down the line, proven to be untrue, and fade into history. So we will just keep going and do the work for the people that we need to do. And hopefully we can turn this ship and become positive people. That's where we need to go for this county. including the statements made about the jail and the death in the jail, Mr. Rizzi. I think it's unfortunate that a statement is ever made that hangings happen all the times in jails. That's great, but I expect better for Klickitat County and our people. And I think most of the public does. Mr. Bradford, thank you for your praise of the airport and what has been done. It's a long time coming. It's been a complicated subject because there's so many players, federal, state, city, county. It's unending, all the tentacles that we have to bring in together to get something done. It's not easy. And I commend Mr. Foster and the work that he's done to stay the course over these years and gather that money each time he could to press this college project. It's an important project for the future of our county, to offer educational opportunities and for our relationship between the city and the county. And thank you for keeping track and coming forward with positive issues. Mr. Edelman, thank you for stepping forward as a valued member of our community now. We're thankful to have you here, and thank you for being positive and trying to move this ship towards a positive future. That's where we need to go. Mr. Elred, I think you heard during our conversations that the $20,000 does go to WAGAP, and it's applied to a youth center in White Salmon. That's been out of the budget and applied to that Center for Youth for many, many years. And that has been continued in the budget. It is necessary. I know people question after school programs, but I can tell you firsthand, being in White Salmon, visiting with that center, I would question where those children would be after school if that was not open. Hanging out in the bark, at risk to wrong people. And it's easy to say, well, their parents need to find somewhere for them to go. That's not an easily answered question, so I'm glad that it is open. Let's see. Tracy, thank you for the things that you look into. I think member at large is a valued position on many boards. I know we offer it and try to offer it on most of the boards we have. I think that's a great spot to fill in where it's just a random person that might not get chosen because they don't have expertise or background in the subject that that board is working on. So member at large is important. I can't answer to all the boards you spoke about to know if they have that open or not. I would encourage them to have that if they don't. But what I can say for participation, I know that those are open public meetings. So like you can always get the documents, you can always get the meeting minutes, and you can always attend. Their doors are open, so you can attend those meetings and hear, and then also write letters back to the board with your questions. So good point. Member at large is an important position. Gabby, thank you for the update on the childcare meeting. Good to know. And I'll find out what time and I'll try to attend for you. The last one we had was very informative. The Department of Commerce attended, and they had a lot of good ideas for communities, and they're willing to come alongside, and they do have fundings for ideas. So I was thankful to see that effort start up with Department of Commerce. So I'll try to get to that meeting. In public comment, just stepping back to some of the negative things that are happening, public comment is offered by the county commissioners. It's not a mandatory. It's not mandatory that it's Zoomed. And there are counties in many different ways that handle public comment where commissioners don't respond, where they don't Zoom, or they don't even offer public comment. So I would like to see our public comment become very positive going into the future so that our new commissioners have tools in their toolbox and good information to start working on something that's of value to the communities. Not a downgrade, not something to try to take someone or some project down, but actual facts that we can gather and start moving forward and use them. That would be great. And it remains to be seen how the next board decides what to do with public comment. We will have to have that discussion. And Sheriff Songer, Thank you for talking about the Water Conservancy Board documents, the records, and some information that I asked you for well over a year ago. We had conversations. I'd have to go back into my records, but at one time, as we were moving through that, I did find what I needed. And so I did retain and take back any of the records that were in your evidence files. I don't believe there's anything left with you. I think it's been put back into places where it needed to be belonged. So I'm not sure what's left in your evidence room. I think that's all been retained and put back with staff where it needed to go. But I look forward to your report if you have one, and that'd be great. I'll review it. Okay, that's great. And Jean and Snowden, thank you for the update. And it is always good to see our sheriffs out and about working, and I'm thankful for them. And I don't know if you had set in or if this touches your portion of the road, but we do have the Lyle Snowden road back on the 6-year road program for some improvements coming up. A lot of the neighbors in that area came to our hearing and they were heard, and we have some updates on that where we'll be doing improvements to roads in your area. So our public works does a great job, and they have a lot of roads to take care of. I forget how many actual miles it is, but it's hard to pinpoint the most crucial and try to get them done with what budgets we have. But thank you. Mr. Anderson? Ready? I don't think. Yeah, yeah, I know. We can take a minute if you'd like to. Sherry, I did hear you, and I want to just tell you before Mr. Anderson gathers his thoughts that I do believe you always come forward in peace, and I do enjoy our conversations. We may not always agree, and you may not think I get to everything that is brought forward by what you work on, but I'm there, I'm taking meeting minutes, I'm trying, and I'm working on 1,000 subjects at one time, and hopefully each gets a little piece of it done each week. And the RCW is, I think, something that you need to maybe think about, apply to both sides. When we meet a situation, I'll just say the franchise agreement, that has to be thought through so carefully, because not only do the citizens and the landowners have their rights and the RCWs and their needs, the people that are moving forward on the other side, we're kind of stuck in the middle, and we have to make sure that their rights, if there are RCWs that guarantee them their rights, we can't cross those either, or we're going to find ourselves in litigation and we're going to waste a lot of the taxpayers' money. So sometimes these subjects are really hard to work through and very sticky as we compare each side and try to get to middle ground to do what's right for our county. Thank you.
Madam Chair, there was a comment about halted construction at the airport. Since you're on the airport board, would you want to respond to that?
There has been no halted construction at the airport. It's moving forward. There are more projects coming forward, and for the good of our county, for tax dollars, for jobs, we have an incredible future coming at that airport. There has never been anything halted, stopped, turned back. Again, it's the process of moving our way through all the different partners, 20 or 30 partners in some places on the different issues, the grants, just the management of each piece of how a project comes forward and how that will be managed and if it meets legal requirements, and then moving forward. It's a heavy lift. And I really want to thank our Economic Development Department, the city of the Dalles, who is our partner, as the county and the city own that facility, and the airport board, who's worked diligently. They've kept it alive. There have been times where the money languished and we've had to scramble to find how can we not lose this pot of money because we have to fund it with this pot of money to match it. It's been a scramble to keep up with everything. And on top of that, you have to meet all the requirements of the federal government because it's a federal facility maintained by or oversight by the FAA. That involves state environmental policies. It does not. It involves NEPA, which is, if anybody knows anything about NEPA, it takes years to get through a NEPA review for environmental issues. It's a very tough review to get through to get a project in an area like this. So everybody that has touched this actually needs a thank you because it's going to be a very great thing to our county. On top of that, I believe the airport manager has special projects within his realm that are sanctioned by the FAA that we have to balance together. And we're all working on that and working forward. Nobody's getting one thing and somebody not the other. That's just not true. It's a great project. And if somebody's hearing something different, they need to reach out to different people. They need to verify information they've got. They need to attend the open public meetings. They need to come in and visit with me and see the documents. I'm welcome anytime. But I'm thankful to have been a part of that project. It's been a positive for our county, and I can see things in the very long range that are going to be very, very good for our county at that airport. Just in the time and just before I came, it improved so much that we can't keep up with the fuel cells. We initiated a new fuel island and more fuel. We can't keep up. We're doing so good selling fuel to DNR and to state entities that have now come into the area that live here that are helping us. We get faster return time for our fires because we have DNR locally now because of deals that have been made in that area and at the airport to have them housed with us, not in Ellensburg or Castle Rock where the helicopters used to be. We also have the military coming in time after time because they're preparing for national emergencies or other things that may happen in our communities or just doing trainings. And they're stopping in and purchasing fuel, which adds to the airport budget. So foresight by people, what is necessary for a fully functioning, healthy airport is coming true. It's starting to work forward. And we're going to see it in our time, which is great. And I'm thankful to the past commissioners for many, many years that have initiated the airport, sat on the airport boards, and helped dream this dream. Mr. Anderson?
Thank you, Madam Chair. And thank you for answering so many things that I was working on. I would just further what you say about the airport. The airport is a county asset. It is one of the largest county assets that we have, that we share with the state, with the city of the Dalles. That shared agreement adds complexity. It adds time to getting things done. But in many ways, it adds value to the airport and to the county because we get to bring in grants from Oregon that get put on Washington soil, something you very, very rarely see. That airport is a crown jewel and will be for this county for the long run. They have a long-range plan and vision for that airport, and they are working diligently towards ensuring that that happens. The airport board works for nothing. They're volunteers, just like many of our other groups. And they work because they care about the future of the county and the city of the Dalles. And there are so many positive things happening at the airport between new developments in T hangars so that we can continue general aviation use. There is industrial growth and development that's occurring. I wanted to reach out and say thank you very much to Adrian for doing your research, for bringing your facts. One thing that I would say is a little bit of that was outdated when you were saying we were only hoping for 1.5 million. We were actually hoping for 5 million because the cost of all construction went up. And at the last minute, we pivoted to ask for more money. And rather than only getting 1.5, we got 2.5, which is a huge boon to all of the residents of Klickitat County so that we can continue to open up new properties for development, for industrial use, so that the people who live and work here can have jobs in this county. And that is a huge long-term economic gain for the residents of Klickitat County. It's sad to see when you see people cutting down the good work that staff and volunteers and our other agencies are doing to try to do great things. I would ask Rick to reach out to the people involved at the airport, the people with the facts and the information, and get information that you can feel comfortable being involved with and sharing that you know is factual. Don't just listen to rumors. Don't believe things that you read on the internet. Don't believe what somebody just says who may have a personal grudge against somebody else. Because the growth and the positive things that are happening in Klickitat County are so numerous that it's impossible just to talk about in such a short amount of time. Oops, lost it. Mr. Wagner, you love to bring up RCWs. One thing you should always try to do when you look at RCWs is then look at the WACs. The Washington Administrative Code is how the state and the agencies actually manage what the laws that are passed are by the state. We have the exact same thing within county government. We can pass, as the legislative body, ordinances that become the law, but then we expect our directors to implement those laws. And that usually comes through policy that gets written internally by those departments that they then follow. That policy can be changed from time to time when the code changes. When you have somebody new come on board, they can change those policies to help better reflect that. One thing I've learned in all my time in Olympia is very rarely do you see a law that gets written that doesn't have a loophole in it or doesn't need to be fixed later, because lobbyists write laws and lobbyists want to fix the law. And that's just what you see happening. Everybody, I think, in life likes to think of life as black or white. We look for certainty in so many ways. What you see at the state and federal and even the local level is so many things are gray. So many things are up to interpretation by professionals who do this for a living. And I always try to give credence and trust to the people that we hire to put in these positions to do these very difficult jobs where they're faced in interfacing with the general populace. And I don't care what there is out there. There's usually two sides to every story, and there's definitely people who are winning and losing from every decision that local and state officials make. That's the truth and reality of politics, which goes on to the belief in special privileges. We all have the same privileges. We all have to live under the same rules. When a hearings examiner makes a decision and you disagree with that decision, that does not make it a special privilege. That means that somebody had a right to do something that followed the process, that went through the court systems, that was adjudicated, and they were legally allowed to do something in many instances. That does not make it a special privilege. That means that they were exercising their rights, which is something we all care about. I have always had an open door policy in which anyone is invited to come and have a conversation with me, call me anything. I have reached out to you, Mr. Wagner, innumerable times over 4 years, allowing you to come and have a conversation, much like you do, and come and have positive conversations with Commissioner Zoller. Rather than doing that, you have continued nonstop to denigrate and disparage me, to disparage my name in the community. And even though you continue to do that, I will always continue to have an open door policy, because what matters is that you have your ability to ask information, to question, as well as provide comment to the elected officials at the county and state level. And I never want to take that away from you, no matter how you act. But what I can tell you, though, is that not everybody holds that same standard that I do. I don't know who follows me is willing to do, but I have told you from the very get-go that I do not communicate in those ways. I will not play those games, and we have to hold ourselves to a standard. And when someone attacks my seatmates or when someone attacks the position, or when someone attacks you personally, I will not engage because that is my right to not engage. Anytime somebody wants to talk to me about actual county business, I will always be there and listen, but I will not respond to the emails that you have sent over the course of 4 years when I gave you fair warning that I would stop responding. Mr. Eldred, that money is allowed. Many counties put money into childcare. It is allowed through RCW, through WAC, and we give that money to WAGAP for a very positive, productive, and necessary purpose. And while I have continued to say to Ms. Gilbert's chagrin that childcare is not a core county function, it is still something I believe in and still something that matters to me and as it matters to all of us. Um, I wish that we had something in Goldendale that was the equivalent of the community youth center that we could try to provide dollars to. That youth center has done so much for so many children over the years. And I think they're doing a great job on a very shoestring budget. And I can't say enough about their good work. Tracy, there was a lot there to try to unpack from your comments. I value that you go through each one of our agendas, you look at it, you do some research, you make some opinions, but more importantly, you ask questions because you know that you don't understand it all because so much of it's so complex. I can't tell you the number of committees and interagency groups that happen and occur on a daily basis that the regular public has no knowledge of. Because what it is it is government that you are asking to provide services for you to do the jobs that we ask them to do. With CASIFA, I find it even more interesting because almost all the members that serve on CASIFA are volunteers. They're volunteer fire chiefs. They're people who do this because they love their community. I think it's great when you have all the fire chiefs get together to talk about solutions, to talk about the issues, about how we can better protect our community. That matters to me. And I hope that they continue to do that. Not all groups are interagency groups are public groups. In order for it to be a public group, usually we have to create that committee. And then we add, who serves on it. We have a lot of committees that a lot of volunteers do serve on. CASIFA is not our organization. We can't control that. We can't put people at large on it. But what I can tell you is that every fire chief that serves on it that's a volunteer as is a member at large of their community. That's what they're doing. They're volunteers. Mr. Rizzi, I would just say that no jail staff are being let go from the jail. I know it was the way you said it could be seen by the 84 participants that we are letting people go. That is not the case. You will soon get to meet the new head of the jail later today. And we have designed the budget so that we can make the jail do the services that it needs to do to protect the citizens and to protect the inmates and to protect the staff that work there. I'm not saying that it's going to cost less money to run the jail. I've never said that. Whenever you add a portion of healthcare like the settlement agreement requires us to do, the costs will go up. What I can say though is that we're turning over every rock in order to try to bring in grant dollars from the state so that we can cover those costs because we will have a fiscal shortfall in this county in the upcoming years. It's a fact. We've seen it coming. Every other county sees it coming. The state of Washington is in the same situation. And we have to work together to find those solutions so that we can provide the services that the residents and what we are required to do by law.
Sure.
All right, nobody's responded to you. Um, in order, I would say that there is a draft of a short-term rental ordinance. My seatmates could not come to agreement, so it was not passed. I recuse myself, and it is my hope that this in the future of the next year that can be brought back up. Have stated publicly that I've always been supportive of a short-term rental ordinance, that is a positive thing that has happened in many counties over. And I want to see that successfully done. And I can be honest, based on what you heard from other comments, I'll be the first person in line to sign up to get a permit.
Can I add real quick to our,
Please.
Aura, I missed you on my page and I wanted to let you know that I have worked on it even this week. I've had meetings with staff and departments. And as Mr. Anderson said, we have a draft. So it is moving, it is working, it takes time. But I want to let you know too, don't forget that you have recourse as a citizen of this county. And if you're having impacts and there is no code compliance code that can help them help you, you have your sheriff. You can call the sheriff. If you have a trespass, if you have somebody that's starting a fire on your property that's came off another property, if you have dogs, if you have those problems, call the sheriff department. That's your recourse right now. Thank you.
Gene, the bead dollar. Sorry, that's all I just wrote down for my notes. Gene, I am encouraged as well about the broadband issue, that we are getting a huge amount of federal investment in broadband. We are all paying for that. We are all paying through that through inflation because we're deficit spending at the federal level to do it. And we want to ensure that the county receives the funds that it can get to ensure that broadband continues to expand into our rural areas. Broadband is now seen at a federal and state and local level as a utility, something that is necessary in order to conduct your regular life in public, much like if we remember rural electrification, and this is the process of going through it. I hope that our Economic Development Department and Natural Resource Department and everyone works together to ensure that these dollars can get put on the ground. That is going to include things like franchise agreements and other projects and other parts in order to make sure these dollars get put to use. I have reviewed and asked questions about the letter of support, and I feel confident in that company, and I want to sign that one. We've got another letter of support that came in yesterday asking for a letter of support, which would be hopefully be in other areas, because I want to make sure that these dollars get expended in the county and we get people hooked up. And then Kaylee, what a great way to start off public comment. What a great way. And thank you for getting up early in the morning to review videos of everyone's just us sitting up here talking. It just goes to show that it gives me hope. It gives me hope that we are turning a corner. I would say that the last 4 years have been a very interesting social experiment with Zoom and with what came out of COVID and keyboard warriors and people that you can say anything in public and have no consequences to the actions. And it does, it starts with being positive. And so much of, I feel that there's a lot of positivity that's occurring in this county with the employees. I'm so excited about the hires that we have made in the director level positions for the future of this county. It gives me a lot of hope. And I just hope that that hope spreads to everyone else. Sheriff Songer, I've been trying to figure out, that is a weird way to make a comment about investigations. I would think that there is a process in which you would have a conversation with the person who asked it about what they want to do. Um, I'm flabbergasted, honestly, about what you were trying to accomplish with that in a public meeting. I would really like to see those documents and that information as well. And I can't wait to see it. And I hope that if you do give it to my seatmate, that it's something that can be shared and something that I would hope. I don't know very much about the sheriff's department and how it operates, but it could be a public record. because I would sure like to know. I sure would have liked to know if there was an investigation into me occurring over the last year. But we all know how weird things got at the beginning of last year. And I really wish the best for the Water Conservancy Board and everything they do and everything they've been put through, the members on that volunteer group over that course of time. It's one of those things that I have not been able to wrap my head around what in the world was going on. Did I miss anyone?
We should probably move to Mr. Christopher if we can. In essence of time, we're getting behind. Mr. Christopher, do you have comments?
Boy, I'd sure like to. I guess I would say in the essence of civility, I will not have comment other than the fact that I agree with some of the things my seatmate said and find some of the things completely false. But without spending the next 15 minutes editing, I'll just leave it at that.
Thank you very much. Okay. Item 4, Mr. Anderson, would you like to take that on?
Yeah, Madam Chair, last week, when we decided that we checked in with Commissioner Christopher that we would move the meeting from next Tuesday to next Monday. Being how open public meeting laws is done, what we, I believe, need to do is to cancel the regularly scheduled meeting for next Tuesday and schedule a special meeting for Monday.
Okay,
And so I would move to do that.
as a motion?
Yeah, I don't know which one of you had the scheduling conflict, but I don't mind changing it, so I'll second the meeting.
Thank you. Motion and second. Any discussion? Hearing none. All those in favor?
Aye.
All right.
Aye. Motion passes. Thank you.
Commissioner Christopher, is there anything on the consent agenda you'd like pulled?
The only thing on there that I would have to vote no on is the public hearing for the franchise agreement on December 17th. I was under the impression that we were leaving that for the next board to deal with, since they're the ones that will have to be working through that. And December 17th is on a day that I've had scheduled for vacation on the county's calendar for almost 6 months. So I won't be here anyway. If you guys think you have 2 votes for that and you want to continue, feel free. But I can't vote a yes on that number 18.
Madam Chair, I would make a motion to approve the consent agenda with 20 items, pulling number 18 for further consideration.
I'll second the motion.
Motion and a second. Any discussion? All those.
One thing I just would discuss, because it came up during public comment, is that the consent agenda is for things that are usually seen to not be controversial. They are things of a regular nature, things that you're, extending a grant agreement or something else of that, memorandums of setting public hearings and all of this. Any commissioner can pull it. And then if members of the public would like more information or questions on that, and that's why it's always good. And that's why we put our agendas out on Thursdays, so you can read it and review it. And if you have questions, you can reach out and email us or email staff to get your answers. And if it's something that you put a bug in our ear, that might be something we pull to ask staff for further understanding and consideration. So thank you, Tracy, for bringing it up, but consent agenda is a normal way of making sure that government operates at a timely and efficient manner.
I would agree with Commissioner Anderson. I would also point out the fact that we purposely take public comment before we do consent agenda, so that any members of the public can read through the board packet, get all the information, read everything they want, and feel free to make a public statement and bring that concern to our awareness, and we might do what Commissioner Anderson said and pull that for further notice. But that's why we do public comment before we pass consent.
We further discussion. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Aye. Motion passes. Thank you.
Madam Chair, I would make a motion, where'd number 18 go? To set the notice of public hearings to be held Tuesday, December 17th at 1 PM in the Commissioners Meeting Room at the County Services Building, at which time any person may appear and be heard for or against the proposed franchise agreement between Klickitat County and Carriager Solar LLC.
So I will step down in second.
There was discussion by Commissioner Christopher that he was under the impression that this was going to get pushed off until next year. Do you recall any of that?
I don't.
Jeff, you're in the room. Do you have any recollection of this? Jeff, would you come forward and just give us a brief overview of why the franchise agreement timing has taken so long?
We were waiting to get some feedbacks. We had some questions. We have redone the franchise. It's a brand new hearing. It's not amending the old hearing.
Okay.
So we checked and we were told that there wouldn't be a full quorum, or we'd be at least missing a commissioner the last 2 weeks of the year. So, which falls on Christmas Eve and New Year's Eve. So those would be bad days to have the hearing. So we scheduled the hearing for the 17th. That works for us for meeting all the advertising dates. We've been pushed very hard by the applicant to have the hearing this year. I mean, they have rights just like everybody else does. So they wanted to be heard this year. We were told, when we originally told them, we said we would wait, or we would, we'd give it time, if everybody remembers from the first hearing, to have some questions answered and get through some stuff of legal questions. And so we've done that. It took a little longer than we thought. We told the applicant 3 months. It's been 5 months. So in all due faith, we scheduled the hearing. It's up to the board to decide if they want to have the hearing.
I'm not asking for legal advice,
Right.
but can you just keep pushing it off for no reason? Or do applicants have recourse in order to make sure that things get processed in a timely manner?
Everybody has recourse.
Mm-hmm.
I don't want to get into the legal recourse of how it would work, but my goal is try not to get the county sued. Also, our goal is try not to get attorneys involved because then it gets us nowhere. Again, I want to be careful how much we cover because I don't want to break up, the hearing stuff, which a lot of that will be covered in the hearing. But my experience has been when you start getting past, it's no different than somebody getting a short plat or anything else. As far as we're concerned, there's a process. We have a process in place. There's RCWs that cover the franchise. There's certain things. Could we push it off forever? Well, yeah, I guess you could. I mean, I don't know what the recourse would be, though. I'm sure it wouldn't be. I wouldn't be talking to you about it.
Okay.
Madam Chair, I
Oh,
don't.
go ahead.
I don't
Mr.
understand the push to. I don't understand the push to get this done when it can wait 2 or 3 weeks. They've waited 5 months. I believe the new board, who is the ones that are going to be sitting there for the next 4 years or 2 years or 4 years, should be the ones to weigh in on this. They're the ones that are going to have to reap the consequences of it. I believe the new board should be the ones to make the appointments or the reappointments to the various boards and commissions, because they're the ones that are going to have to reap them. I don't believe this board should be making decisions that impact the next 4 years that could be against what that board wants to do.
We can wait.
Never seen so much over a franchise agreement. It is amazing what you can find out. We have a 10:15, but you don't have to do it directly on time.
Okay.
You can finish up work. I don't even know if I want to say. I just want to make sure that everything got posted on the site. Did you guys go out there and post that?
We have pictures and everything, trust us. We took pictures, we did affidavits, we've done everything. It was posted yesterday, which meets the 15-day before 1, which meets the 15-day. We also put the auditor's name instead of the clerk of the board's name on the posting. It's scheduled to go into the paper, and I can't stop that because we did talk about this last week, that we were going to do this, because I was afraid this could happen. Now, again, you still have the right to cancel the hearing. My recommendation is then you wouldn't have the hearing, and this is what I told the applicant, till at least the middle of the month. You wouldn't want to start the brand new board first day in a hearing, especially of this magnitude.
You remember when we started, it was COVID. It was interesting.
I know.
wouldn't wish that upon anyone.
Exactly.
I have no problem with holding the hearing, and if all the due diligence is done. Okay. You wanna, I'm done with debate.
Because of the hearing and because of regulations and law, I get advice from our clerk that we need to suspend this conversation and move with the hearing on time as it was on the agenda. So if we could suspend this.
I don't have any more to add. So
You
if
don't
you're
have
ready
more
to
to
vote,
add.
we can move on.
Okay. I will vote to go forward. I'll keep my rationale simple. It's a process. It isn't an outcome.
Exactly.
And it provides public process that is duly owed to the applicant. And we would do that with any other application that we do. That doesn't mean what the outcome will be. So.
Well said.
I will move forward with the hearing.
Need to call the vote. All those in favor?
All those in favor. Thank you.
Aye.
Aye. Motion passes.
All those opposed?
All those opposed?
Nay.
Nay. There was a quiet nay in there.
No.
Did you capture
It's
that?
not quiet. I was waiting for the question to be called. I'm hopeful that
Okay.
next year you'll have somebody to remind you of procedure.
There's some times that we're not hearing you, and that's why I said it was a quiet nay. We're not hearing you. It's in and out, Mr. Christopher. Okay, moving forward. And we have Jen Neal, fiscal manager, with a public hearing. So we'll let Jim provide an overview in regards to the budget.
Okay, good morning. Let's just see if I can get set up here.
And it is in regards when Jen's getting set up to propose 2025 property tax levy amounts. Oh, no, there's several items. Yes.
There are
okay.
3.
And there are 3 items. So I'll let Jen work through them.
So as with every presentation that I do, I like to start at the website to help guide the public as well as staff on where resources are and related to finance and the budget. So today's public hearing is also a part of the news flash. You could click on that and it would take you directly to the 2025 budget page, but I'll walk through every section here. We'll go to government, the fiscal services department. Landing on the home page here, Each budget year has their own individual tab. As the 2025 budget year grows, there will be additional menu items just like the 24, where their quarterly reports and the budget amendments are. On the landing page of the 2025 budget is the presentation I will be going through today in an interactive format. Then the adopted items so far, which is the levy certifications that was done last week. And then the public hearing reports. So the presenter's report in PDF format, the property tax levy packet with the resolutions, the annual budget summary reports, so revenue by fund and expense by fund, and then as well as the detail reports going into every BARS item within every department and office, and then the capital improvement plan, all available there for everybody to access. So as Commissioner Zoller has stated, there are 3 individual hearings today that we will have to go through individually and either adopt or continue on for next week, whatever the board chooses. So when we are making public comment on these hearings, we need to make sure that we are eliminating to the current hearing at hand. And so those will be the property tax levy amounts, the 25 through the 2030 CIP, and then the 2025 annual budget. It is my recommendation to the board that we continue each hearing, leaving it open to public to written comment only until December 9th. Okay. So I will, with all those individual hearings, I will do the presentation as a whole package. And then if there needs to be any additional updates into each hearing, I can provide that. So today I'll go over the annual budget process for the public, key updates, summary overviews, the capital improvement plan. Budget role and responsibilities, the budget is a collaboration between myself acting on behalf of the Board of County Commissioners, the auditor, all elected officials, all directors, and the Board of County Commissioners. The purpose of the budget is, at the basic level, a legal document that gives the county officials the authority to incur obligations and pay expenses. The budget allocates resources among departments, reflecting the county's priorities, policies, and controls how much each department and elected office may spend. A budget is a dynamic framework that evolves in response to changing circumstances, factors such as fluctuating revenue streams, unexpected expenses, shifts in organizational priorities, economic conditions can all necessitate adjustments. Effective budgeting requires continuous monitoring, flexibility, and proactive decision-making to ensure resources are allocated efficiently and align with the current needs and objectives. So this adaptive approach helps organizations remain resilient and responsive in the ever-changing environments that we currently live in. We take, here at Klickitat County, we take a traditional approach currently with a baseline method using prior year actuals. And then I use a dual approach combining with methodology for forecasting and projecting in the future, combining judgmental forecasting and historical trend analysis. The budget roadmap is constant. It never stops. As soon as we are done adopting the 2025 budget, we will immediately start in the 26 budget. So Q1, we try to just deal with planning sessions, goals, priorities, objectives. Those budget objectives start to get communicated out to departments and offices. In Q2, the county auditor is responsible for notifying all directors and elected officials for the request for budgets. Budget estimates and proposals are submitted by each director and elected officials for their individual budgets. Q3, The fiscal team reviews the submissions, make sure there's no errors, and crossing those T's, dotting those I's. Preliminary annual budget is presented to the Board of County Commissioners. Workshops commence, and the consumer price index is released for cost of living adjustments, and we start making those changes. Q4, the deadline for to certify the property tax levies are there, and then we need to finalize the capital improvement plan, the 6-year road plan, and adopt the budget. When we got done with workshops, the board had asked that I come back with a proposed balanced budget. So this key update is going to identify what that is. So as the Board of County Commissioners began budget workshops, we started with a $4.8 million deficit. Through thoughtful deliberation and strategic adjustments, the workshops concluded with a reduced deficit of $1.6 million. Addressing the deficit, we increased the forecasted revenues $2.3 million. The original submission expenses were reduced by $1 million. And then I would propose that we use surplus 2024 revenue of $1.6 million. To balance the 2025 budget, I propose a multifaceted approach. Expenditures reduced by $1 million, demonstrating our commitment to fiscal responsibility. For the remaining deficit, I recommend splitting the balance between two funding sources: $800,000 from cumulative reserve, which is utilizing the surplus of budgeted revenue from the 2024 landfill operations, and $800,000 from the general fund, drawing on excess interest earnings received. This strategy achieves balance while preserving programs, preserves staff, essential services, and minimizes strain on any single resource. Summaries as a whole, the 2025 annual budget is come in at $67.7 million, all funds. That's a 10% reduction of the current 2024 amended budget. The general fund budget has come in at $21.7 million. That is a 5% increase from the 2024 amended budget. Oh, getting a little crazy. So revenue sources here, property tax, a 1% increase. That is a total of $11.6 million budgeted right now between both the general fund and the road fund. That is a $55,482 increase to the county general, $55,890 increase to the county road. That reduces the levy rate in 2025 to $1 from the 2024 levy rate of $1.04, and from the 2023 levy rate of $1.10 in the general fund. Reducing the road rate, the levy rate, to $1.27 from 24's $1.32, 2023 is $1.39. Currently, grant revenues are forecasted at 23% reduction from the 2024 amended budget. This is not concerning to me. Granting agencies operate on a different fiscal year starting in July. Therefore, many grants are added during the supplemental processes throughout the year. Additionally, there's a federal administration change happening currently, which could affect grant funding. We just don't know where those are going to land. Landfill, we budgeted conservatively, but still an 11% increase over the 2024 budget, although that is a decrease from the 2024 actual revenues received of $8.9 million. Sales tax, 0.3% increase of the 2024 amended budget. I feel pretty confident on that number. And then the state entitlements of $4.2 million, that's a 15% increase, but we utilized MRSC for those projections. That MRSC analyzes the state budget and provides projections to counties and cities on what those revenue sources will look like for the up and coming year. So this is just a graph of our primary revenue sources, which include that property tax, the landfill, sales tax, state entitlements, as well as real estate excise tax. And as a reminder, those REIT dollars can only be used in our capital funding projects. If you utilize the interactive presentation, you'll be able to, on the website, you'll be able to go in and highlight any particular item within these charts. It'll pull up the detail for it within that for you.
Jen, the one thing that I think would be questionable or concerning to the
What?
public, can you talk about the sales tax change and when that occurred and why you're seeing these numbers here?
The sales tax changed when the Board of County Commissioners had increased the sales tax. As to what Commissioner Anderson is talking about, we used to take a second 0.5% of REIT in lieu of increasing sales tax. And so we used to receive more REIT dollars than what we do now. When the board made the decision to go ahead and increase the sales tax, we had to do away with taking that second 0.5% of REIT. So now we just collect the basic REIT dollars that are restricted in order to gain those general purpose dollars of the sales tax. And that happened 22, April, May of 22, I believe. This outlines the revenue sources for all funds. As you can see, grant revenue is about 28% of the overall revenue source within the budget. That's $17.9 million. Property tax, 11.6, providing a reliable foundation for funding essential services, reflecting the primary contribution to the county budget. Landfill revenue at 8.7 continues to be a significant source of operational funding, underscoring its importance to the county's financial stability. Sales tax shared entitlements highlight the county's reliance on consumer activity and state and federal share revenue streams. Fund balance of $2.58 million reflects the prudent financial management and the ability to leverage revenue reserves when necessary. Additional resources such as interest income, timber tax, public safety revenues provide supplementary support for targeted programs and functions. Internal fund department charges of $5.69 million demonstrates the value of interdepartmental collaborations and service reimbursements and sustaining operations. This diversified revenue structure supports a balanced budget, ensuring the county can effectively deliver services while maintaining financial resilience. Same concept, but for the general fund specifically. Property tax being the primary revenue source in the general fund at $5.7 million. Landfill revenue being right behind it at $4.94 million. Secondary major revenue sources, sales tax at $3.6 million. Key contributor demonstrating the reliance on consumer activity within the local economy. Interest income at $1.56 million, elevated returns reflecting favorable interest rates and strategic investments done by the treasurer. Although I will caution that, going forward into future years that will diminish, and we have not seen that type of revenue coming from interest earnings in prior years, prior to COVID anyway. Grant and state contributions, together, they represent a critical external support for targeted programs and shared responsibilities. Some of the smallest sources being the general government revenue, intergovernmental agreements, and excise tax. They represent limited but vital contributions to the overall budget, supporting specialized programs. Our budgeted expenses are categorized by program area with infrastructure, public safety, general government, human services, community services, and judicial services. Overall budget, you can see the infrastructure is 47.5%, public safety being 13.5%, judicial 6.8%, General government, 12.5, human services, 10, community services, 9.5. General fund specific, infrastructure, 1.7 million, equating to 8.3% of the budget. Public safety, $7 million, and judicial, $4.2 million. Together, law and justice make up 51.8% of the general fund budget. 33% being general government, community service being 6.9%. On each of these following pages, I've outlined the budgets under each program area and how those budgets are funded, highlighting the percentage of general purpose dollars used for each budget. So buildings and grounds in the general fund, $1.79 million. 99% of that is general purpose dollars. Debt services, which is the bond to pay for this building, is 98% general purpose dollars. Public Works Road, $16.8 million. That 1%, $200,000, is general purpose dollars. The rest are grants and restricted revenue. Capital improvement funds, 303, and funds 305. There are 0 currently general purpose dollars budgeted for those areas. Public safety, the sheriff and the general, most of the sheriff's budget is in the general fund. He does have 2 special revenue funds, marine and investigations. And so of this, 96% of that sheriff's budget is general purpose dollars. Corrections, now with the transition, we have 2, as well as some legislation changes, 2 new departments under the Board of County Commissioners, being the corrections and the coroner. For this purpose, I've combined those in that graph. So corrections would be $2.48 million, and the coroner currently $189,000. 95% of that is general purpose dollars. Adult probation, 77% of their budget is general purpose dollars. Emergency management, outside of the general fund, they have 2 funds, dispatch and emergency management services. 57% of their budget is covered by general purpose dollars. General government section, majority is mandated services, meaning the assessor, the auditor, Board of Equalization, the commissioners. There are some areas that are not mandated services, but are necessary in order to keep the county functioning, IT, those types of things, finance. So overall, 90% of general government area is funded by the general purpose dollars. Human services, senior services, 19% is general purpose dollars. They have 2 funds, a vehicle fund and then their regular operating fund of $2.7 million. Public health, 0% general purpose dollars. They're fully funded at this moment in time, also a mandated service. Behavioral health, again, 0%. Veterans relief, 0%. Community service, made up of WSU, the planning department, building department, code compliance, historic preservation, and of course those economic development funds, the landfill gas improvement funds, solid waste, the fair, cumulative reserve with the $0.09, and noxious weed. Mostly planning at 67% of general purpose dollars. Code is 100% general purpose dollars. Solid waste is 51%. Cumulative reserve is, with this budget currently, at 65%. That could change depending on projects and decisions of the board. Judicial, made up of Supreme Court services, district court services and legal services, meaning the prosecuting attorney, the public defense, and indigent defense. So of those, Not a whole lot of restricted or grant revenue, mostly made up of general purpose dollars as well. All of those are also mandated services. Moving on into the capital improvement plan. This coincides with the budget roadmap. In May, elected officials and directors submit any new requests during the phase 1 of the budget process. June and July, new requests are provided to Public Works and IT to compile and work into their CIPs and their budget. September, Public Works and IT will propose those when they do their budget workshops with the Board of County Commissioners. The CIP summary, Fund 303, $1.19 million. Capital Improvement Communities Fund 305. This fund has the Columbia Gorge Community College hangar project that's slated to start in 2025 at $5.4 million. With the funding still being solidified at the time of the development of this budget, 305's revenue will adjust during the supplemental processes as we get all of those things ironed out. The Commissioner's VRNR Fund, which is the Vehicle Fund 502, $488,947, and IT's capital expenses of $1 million. Now, we only budget for the 2025 year of the capital improvement plan, but the other years we identify for long-term planning and to ensure that the Board of County Commissioners are aware of any large projects on the horizon. Highest spending years will obviously be the year that we're budgeting for at this point in time, driven by the courthouse and jail investments. Focus areas will be dispatch and emergency management, dominating funding over the next 6-year period. Parks and fairgrounds, some significant funding allocations in later years reflecting planned upgrades in recreational and community spaces. This will highlight the detail of each area. In the 2025 budget, $618,000 is grant funding, $572,000 is county funding, most of which will be made up of those REIT dollars, which has to be restricted to capital improvement. The VRNR fund, proposed purchases, adult probation, code compliance, solid waste, and the Sheriff's Patrol Group B, which will be 3 vehicles out of the Sheriff's group. There's currently not a rental rate for the jail vehicles at this time. This will also be adjusted during the supplemental process in the new year after the transition is complete. This would be IT's budget to show where those dollars are. Annual maintenance of $350,000, security, annual subscriptions, $212,000, equipment, professional services, and then departmental functions. Departmental functions make up salaries and benefits, rents and leases, supplies, communications, training, travel, those items in order to keep that department functioning. For the most part, though, IT and their budget encompasses the subscriptions, the equipment, and purchases for all offices and departments countywide. When I speak of the fiscal team, I'm speaking of myself and Rob Van Cleve as my director, as well as the county auditor and the treasurer. This group is a collaborative team encompassing all aspects of finance within the county: budget, revenue, and expense. This page is for the public, an easy resources page. If you click on the icon, it will take you to the fiscal services webpage here. You could provide feedback, share your ideas and thoughts by clicking this icon. If you'd like to submit a photo for the county to use in the budget book, you can submit so by clicking there. You want to stay up to date, you can submit here and subscribe to the news flash. This icon will take you directly to the 2025 budget. This one will take you to the 2024 original budget. This icon will take you to the interactive budget amendment reports, the supplemental reports that we talk about, and this one will take you to the 2024 quarterly financial reports and the dashboards that are on the website.
Good resource.
There we go. That concludes that presentation.
Great. So we'll open for public hearing for the purposes of receiving public testimony, both in favor and opposed to the 2025 property tax levy amounts. And be aware that comments received are just about the 2025 property tax levy amounts at this time, and we'll move into the other ones after this. So is there anyone in the room or online that would like to give testimony this morning? Just raise your hand if you're in the room if you'd like to come forward. No one? Online? Any comments or testimony this morning? Gabrielle Gilbert.
Yeah, I just want to put it on testimony and public comment that I want a portion of the property tax that I send to Klickitat County to move in the direction of how we're going to address the childcare desert. And I think it's high time that those movements happen. The reality is when you talk about budgets, especially the totality of budgets that are as high as Klickitat County is and you're operating, that none of that addresses the needs of a childcare desert and the idea that people actually could get to work, which gives you those potential dollars for purchasing more houses, for having the idea of property tax in your coffers, and also the idea that you are going to have a sales tax with consumers having disposable cash to enter into those sales tax coffers. So that's my public comment on that. Thank you for your time. I appreciate it.
Thank you. Other comments online? Please raise your hand or unmute. In regards to property tax.
Big Wagner.
Mr. Wagner.
Yes, I'd like to know on the revenue source, it doesn't show any revenue from the renewables, wind and solar. How much is that?
Do we have? We're just going to do public comment and then we'll go back to clarifications afterwards, Mr. Wagner. So we'll move through. If that's your question, we'll note your question. Thank you. Anyone else? Not seeing anybody raising a hand or unmuting. So we can ask clarification statements. Do you have anything, Mr. Anderson?
I don't have anything.
Okay, thank you.
No clarification statements.
And I have none. So we will move to, if there's further public comment. Raise your hand or unmute or in the room one more time. So we will close the public hearing to further public testimony. And I believe it's left open for written.
Would you like me to make a motion to that effect?
That would be great.
Madam Chair, I'd make a motion to close this public hearing to further oral testimony, leaving the record open to further written testimony until Friday at 5 p.m., noting that we will be voting next Tuesday. Monday. Monday.
I'll second the motion.
Motion and a second. Any discussion? Hearing none. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Aye. Motion passes. Thank you. So we will move to the 2025 through 2030 capital improvement plan. So we will open it to public testimony, keeping in mind it is only about the 2025 through 2023 capital improvement plan. Is there anyone in the room that would like to give testimony? Seeing none online. Please raise your hand if you'd like to give testimony on the capital improvement plan. I'm not seeing any. So I guess we will move forward. I don't see anybody struggling trying to get on. Okay. Does anyone have any clarification they'd like to ask Jen? If not, oh, go ahead.
None here.
Okay.
Okay.
So we'll close this to further public testimony. And I would ask for a motion.
Madam Chair, I would make a motion to continue the public hearing until Monday for the capital improvement plan, noting that we are closing this to further oral testimony, leaving the record open until Friday at 5 p.m. for writ.
I'll second the motion.
Motion and a second. Any discussion? Hearing none. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Aye. Motion passes. Okay. So we will open to public testimony in regards to the 2025 annual budget. If there's anyone in the room that would like to give testimony, please raise your hand. If not, online, anybody with testimony in regards to the 2025 budget? Not seeing anyone. If there's no further public comment, we will close the public hearing to further public testimony. Close this.
Oh, you have to go into asking questions.
Okay, did you? Okay.
You jumped ahead.
Well, we hadn't had any, so I skipped that one. So clarifications and for,
Madam Chair, we had a public comment about the percentage of revenue come in from renewable resources. Do we have those numbers?
No, I do not have access to those numbers. Those numbers go to the state and we are given revenue from the state. So I do not have visibility to those numbers.
We have in the past had estimates done for the percentage of revenue coming in from renewable resources. And I don't remember, it was likely done by the treasurer's office.
Possibly. I don't have visibility to those Department of Revenue services.
Okay. I just wanted to make sure that that gets.
And it's not allocated within our financial system independently.
Okay.
To pull that information out.
Okay.
You understand what I mean?
Yes.
We don't allocate the revenue for.
Right, I understand on your side. I'm just trying to figure out where the answer would come from. I think it would be fairly simple to look up what that is from the assessor's side in terms of the aggregate amount, and then you can set the same levy rates against that to come up with those numbers.
Being a revenue source, I would start with the treasurer.
Yeah,
He is
I know,
responsible for the
but
revenue.
again, it was asked. I just wanted to make sure that it was
Yeah, it's
responded
it's
to.
not something that I have visibility to at this time.
Okay.
Any other inquiries, Mr. Christopher? Do you have anything?
I would just state that this is the most important hearing that we have of the year that directs all of the spending for the county for the next year. And it is a very large document and it takes many months to do. And we have 72 people online and we have no public comment on that. I remember when Commissioner Christopher and I came in, it was like, how do we increase transparency and get people involved and people commenting on the things that actually matter, that actually direct where the dollars go? And after 4 years, we still have nobody commenting on it. And with that said, though, I think that the transparency has become very clear. You do an amazing job making sure that that gets understood that everyone has access to all of the information, that if they do care, they have access to it. There is the ability to educate yourself. And I know that your door is always open for people as well. And so I just wanted to say thank you for that. And I know it's not a clarification, but I don't care.
Thank you.
Yeah, and I'll add to that too, and I'm really pleased with the online tools that they have now, availability. So
With that, Madam Chair, I would make a motion to extend the public hearing until next Monday and close the hearing to further oral testimony, leaving the hearing open to written comment that I hope we receive some by Friday till Friday at 5 p.m.
Second motion.
motion and a second, any discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. All those opposed? Oops, Mr. Christopher, did you have an aye? You're muted.
I was an aye.
Thank you.
Written comment can be submitted either to myself via email or to the BOCC at klickitatcounty.org. Please put in the subject line 2025 budget. Much appreciated. You can also find those email addresses with the icons online.
Thank you, Jen.
Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Okay. We're gonna move backwards a little bit and go back to Public Works, I believe.
Sure.
He was waiting. Oh, I'm so sorry, Mr. Hunter. I made an error. The clerk corrected me. We get to go with the planning department first. Just calm down. Thank you, Scott. Hey, wait a minute. The pot calling in the kettle. Yeah.
This is like the useful radio.
Yeah.
I have to say, I admire you for your endurance for these meetings because I had a lot more energy when I walked in the room an hour and a half ago than I do right now. But I will try to revive it. Before I start, I wanted to just address Sherry. I don't know if she's still on the line, but a public comment that does concern me because I appreciate the board's focus on getting rid of unnecessary negativity and personal attacks. I think that's critical. I want to support it as staff. I think there's a big difference between that and being critical of government, being critical of what we do. To me, Sherry's comments are critical of what we do, and I welcome those comments in whatever format they come in. I prefer them directly to me, but whatever format they come in, we can learn from. So I just think that's important to distinguish. And I think there's going to be a learning or educational aspect as we go into the next year and try to have positivity. It doesn't mean everybody agrees with us. It just means that there's not attacks on character, attacks on people's attacks on their private lives. So I know we're way behind. I had a lot to say. I'm going to say a little bit of it because it's I believe my last report that I have all three commissioners here for the year because I won't be doing one next week. It'll be the one after. And also it's a time of year that brought up a word to mind. The word is nostalgia. I looked it up, never had. Nostos, Greek compound, homecoming, which is interesting because I have a lot of homes. I call them small H's. Home growing up was Nampa, Idaho. I became an adult in North Carolina, and Emily and I moved there and lived our lives for 4 years without family around. Then Oregon was my home when I became a dad. But now we're home, capital H. And that's what I see. This is the homecoming here, Goldendale. This is where we are permanent and where we're looking forward to establishing ourselves. So Nostos, homecoming. The last part, Algos, probably saying it wrong. You could help me out there, I'm sure. Pain. Interesting. What a perfect word. Because it's a pain, homecoming pain, thinking of home and pain. It's they're memories that bring a good kind of pain. I got a little bit of a nostalgia today for a year ago, not today, probably next week, when I sat before you and interviewed. I snuck into town, tried to make sure the family didn't find out. Of course, I doubt Denise is listening. She does once in a while, but she did spill the beans to my father-in-law. So he knew before everybody else, but we snuck in and I know I started in March, but to me, that was the official start date. My real start date was a year ago. That's when I started thinking about this community, started being part of what you were doing. And so it's very special to me as we come on that year anniversary. So in 8 months, I just wanted to mention a few things that I've seen. I've seen so much good, so much to be proud of and so much to be a part of as I've worked here for this county. I've seen leadership that's often divided. I'm talking about my three bosses, but I see sincere care for the community, and I appreciate that. I can get behind it. I'm proud to work for you. I see departments that are truly made up of public servants. Just look to your left, those two ladies, they are as busy and stressful, has a stressful job as anybody. You can never know it. I go and ask for something and they not only help, but they make it feel like they have all the time in the world. I know they don't. Just recently, we work closely with the auditor, the assessor, the treasurer's office. I won't go into details about it, but we had a situation come up that was very timely, needed work to be done. It wasn't showing favoritism. It was understanding the situation. Could not believe how fast they worked through this. It was just them doing their jobs and doing it really well. I'll add, I met Brenda in the treasurer's office, and I am a sucker for someone who calls me honey. And she is the nicest customer service person I've ever met. Prosecuting attorney, Dave and Rebecca. They are always there for us. Again, another super busy department, but they often will respond to emails same day with guidance, and I appreciate that. Our sister department, the building department, I walked in yesterday morning, it was decorated like Christmas. Think about the guys, the crew across the street right now putting up lights. That's important stuff. It doesn't seem like it necessarily, it's not a big thing, but it makes the community come in feeling good, makes the department feel good. I love working with them. Building, public works, environmental health, the coordination I think is just outstanding. The public doesn't see what goes on behind the departments, and I think the coordination is really well. I'm going to bring up something that's controversial. I have said earlier, I am not political on purpose. I feel like in my job, I can't be political. I do not have political opinions. I don't have public opinions about things. I'm on the inside. Harrison Ford comment. I'm on the inside, so I don't get to have public opinions. The whole jail issue. I didn't have a public opinion about that. I saw the struggle that you went through as a board. I saw the pain that folks went through. One thing that I appreciated was some of the people who came out passionately were supporting each other. And I think you as commissioners appreciated that, even while you're struggling with the issue, that they're supporting people who they're afraid to lose their jobs. They're not, but I appreciated people coming out for each other. And I think we need more of these kind of things. Heather Joby brought me this little eggplant as her encouragement the other day. We need more of that. I just think there's so much positive going on, and I'm excited to see. And those are a few departments. I haven't even talked about veterans and senior citizens. I've hardly met the people in those departments, which is sad after 8 months. But they do some of the most important work in our county. And I just don't think the public fully understands the quality of people who work here. And I just want to say that I've seen that. I've worked in many jurisdictions, and I think it's amazing. And I feel very blessed to work for you. I feel very blessed to do the work we do, the public we serve, and the people we work with. And, especially in my own department. I've always said, if the world can be burning, but as long as the family's good, I'm okay. It's, my department's my family, and as long as we're strong, it's okay. And I work with outstanding people. And I'll just say, I don't like singling out people if I can't help it, but you can't help but single out Lori Anderson. Would not have made it through this 8 months without her. So I just really appreciate her. So I just want to start with that. Thank you for giving me the time to bring those things up. I only had a couple things actually in my report. The first thing was what I passed out, and Commissioner Christopher, I sent you an email with this list. These are the applications we received for the Project Advisory Committee for the solar and battery energy solar systems PAC Project Advisory Committee. The reason I'm bringing this to you today is not to talk about names and not necessarily to get instant feedback. I know this is a lot. It's more of, we would like you to see who has applied so far and help us fill in the gaps. What are we missing? What parts of the county are not represented? What lines of interest or work are not represented? Do you have ideas of people that we should be reaching out to directly? There are several that we already have reached out directly to that we've not heard back from. But this is something that perhaps next week we could have as a discussion item if you have anything, if you want to do it publicly, or even just privately. If you just want to reach out to me, let me know. Who should we be contacting? Per our grant, we're supposed to have a committee of 9 to 15. I think Commissioner Zoller, you'd mentioned you'd prefer on the lower end of that, which is great because it is more manageable for sure. And I didn't count. We have about 10 or 11 here, some really good applicants. But like to have more. My thought, and this board, of course, can correct me, if you want to appoint the committee, I think that's your prerogative. If you want to do it, if you want to let the new board do it in January, that is too. So we'd also look for some guidance as to that. Do you want us to recruit some more, get some names to you, and you appoint them before the end of the year, or do you want to put that off till the next year? So these are just things I wanted to bring up. Again, you could answer now or wait till next week, or whatever your prerogative is, but just leave it open for questions or comments.
What areas do you feel you have not had any applicants from?
We have not had, we've not had a representative of fire department, like to have a fire department here. So we're reaching out directly to them. So county staff will be separate, they'll be part of the committee, but they'll be
ex officio.
Thank you, ex officio. So we'll be reaching out to them on a separate track. Evan, feel free to jump in. The other one, until recently, an Eastern County landowner, farmer.
Yeah.
We did have one, a Centerville rancher that did apply, so that's great. But I'd like to get someone from the east part of the county who has a perspective on that. Maybe not necessarily somebody who has a solar farm on their property, or maybe so. Maybe one who does, maybe one who doesn't. But I think Eastern landowners would be helpful. We've had several from the west side of the county, which I'm pleased to see. I think those are, can you think of any others that we've talked about that we would like to include?
I think East County is very important.
I do too.
That's probably many of the project will happen.
We were very pleased, and I'll talk about this in a minute, but to get a representative from Yakima Nation apply. And she was the one who they recommended be their applicant, which I appreciated, as well as I think you probably know Elaine Harvey. She would be official. She's not presenting herself as a representative of the Yakima Nation, but she did apply as well. So
She's got a great background.
yes, I think it's good to have that. Otherwise, I think that there's some, we have Goldendale, Centerville, the Snowden area. We don't really have anybody, and I don't know, maybe it's out of the EOZ if we go too far north, but don't really have anyone from Dallasport area or Trout Lake. But maybe there's less impact in some of those areas.
I believe the first one on the list is from Trout Lake.
Oh, thank you. You're right. And I just typed it up this morning, so I should have remembered that. Thank you.
Yeah, I agree that you need your fire department and East County
Mhm.
representative.
So if you have any other ideas, please feel free to shoot them to us and we'll follow up. I've been pleased with the one question for you as the board or the next board will be whether you want to include representatives from the industry, whether it's Avangrid or other companies who've expressed interest in being on the committee, or if you'd want to just invite them to participate as public. And that's going to be up to you if you or the next board if you want to include that. I've heard different feedback from the public both directions, the value of having someone or the importance of not having them because they benefit directly. One thing I've been very pleased with some of the applicants is the high level of technical knowledge, because I think we can get technical knowledge that I thought we might have had to get from the industry that we can probably get from some of the other applicants as well. So just something else to think about.
Okay.
And Commissioner Christopher, do you have any questions or comments on that?
Nope.
Okay. I'll move on. Would you like it as an agenda item on your next meeting, or would you rather just keep it offline and give us any feedback separately?
Where do you feel about making decisions? Do we want to push this off to the next Board of County Commissioners? Do we want to take the time? Where do you feel like going, Madam Chair?
It may, I think you do specifically need fire department for sure. And I have some suggestions you may have reached out to, I'm thinking about, but I'll get a hold of you. I think by the time we get application requests back out and reach out and try to fulfill East End plus fire department, we may run into that next year board anyhow, the rate we're going with time.
And then another way is sometimes with a lot of different committees, we have recommendations from staff on who fits the role, because a lot of this is how they interact amongst each other. And so taking those recommendations on who's going to serve and who would sometimes you get people on committees that their whole goal is to blow the committee up and nothing can get accomplished. So if staff has recommendations, I would appreciate those recommendations on the applicants.
Okay, I appreciate you saying that because I wasn't sure if you wanted recommendations or just the applications, because at some point, when directed, we'll bring you all the applications to review and we can bring a recommendation along with that.
Are you hoping to have your first meeting in January?
Yeah, so the meetings are anticipated to be between January and June.
Okay.
The grant says we'll do up to 6, so that could be monthly. We may do them more like every 4 weeks, which would just be able to get us a little bit ahead of schedule. I anticipate the first meeting to being probably late January, just because we may not have the committee formed and people notice maybe possibly the 3rd week of January. Don't know if you have anything to add to that.
With that being said, with your schedule and wanting to move forward, I'm not opposed to having you come back if you can fulfill your fire department and one East in person, and then your recommendations, I'd like to hear those. And I think we could move forward so we can get you moving, because I don't think there's any way anybody's going to dispute this isn't diverse.
Okay.
I would just like to point out one more time that I will not be here for a couple of weeks of vacation. So if the board would like to make appointments for me, like they have in the past, I'm sure they don't have any problem with doing so. I just find it unfortunate.
All right. And Evan has been working hard on our first deliverable is a report on the battery energy storage systems. He's been working hard on that, made a ton of progress. What's it up to, about 50 pages?
It's around there. It's around 50 pages, and it's all encompassing basically because it will include the major parts of the ordinance also, the proposed ordinance as well in there. So
Sorry, I can't hear him.
It will include major parts of the ordinance and the principles for the comprehensive plan also. So
good work.
Yes, thank you.
Yeah.
And we anticipate that being the focus of the first meeting. We'll be reviewing that report and discussing that aspect of the battery energy storage systems.
Yeah, that needs to be ready by the first meeting.
Okay.
Just a couple other things. Planning Commission openings. We have 2 whose terms expired, Mark Joby and Zach Landgren. Both have expressed an interest in reapplying. And then Kelly Johnson has submitted a resignation. So we will have, she's from District 2, Mr. Zoller's district. Mark is from District 3. Zach is from District 1. So we could reappoint the 2 who are interested again. We could put it on the agenda for next meeting if you'd like to discuss, or we could go out for further applications if you'd rather go that route. So as my initial approach would be to put it on the agenda for you to discuss for the 2 applicants, knowing we're going to go out to request applications for the 3rd one. But if you'd rather we just go out for applications for all 3, that would be another route. I'd just like to put that out there for you.
Mr. Christopher has his hand up.
I would once again, I don't have a problem with reappointing the currents, but I would also like to say I think we should reach out for more applications. And once again, I would like to say that I think the next board should be placing these people. The previous board or the previous commissioner before me made all of his appointments right before he left office, and I felt that was a very disingenuous and disservice to me. And I would hate to do the same thing for the commissioner who's replacing me. I think the commissioner replacing me should get to make those decisions.
We have a policy for opening up those positions. We went through the whole process of doing that. Being that they are expired, I think we need to probably follow that policy handbook. Also, I received an email this morning that puts a little bit more of a complicating factor on it, even though Commissioner Christopher won't be here. So for me, I think following the policy handbook and pushing it off to the next set of commissioners makes a lot of sense.
And I don't have full information, but I can assume. So
Okay.
following the policy handbook We have to.
And I've not read the policy, so
And
I'll get educated on it.
And it's a new policy to me. I
Okay.
think it was drafted during your session. I know in the past with me, we always just reappointed.
We
if somebody was
instituted
interested.
it back in 2021 when Dan and I came. It was one of the first things that we came on board with, and that is the policy for open positions for committees.
Okay.
And if we have to go out for ad on the other ones, I don't have a problem.
Is that policy online for Scott, or where can he get that?
It's,
I'll find
yeah,
it.
it's absolutely
Okay.
on our.
Okay.
All right.
Thank you.
Girls got it too.
Just two quick final things. One, I'm glad the short-term rentals was brought up. I'm looking forward to working on that because it is a serious issue. I've not met Ara, but her issues are real, and we hear them from other people. They're significant and need to be addressed. That's important. I'll also say what I've said before, that we do not have a policy right now that would allow us to enforce on or require permits for vacation rentals. I don't think we have a legal basis to do it. So we have no ability right now to do things at this point. So I'm looking forward to working on policy where we can. I think that'll be an important thing to get into next year. So I'm looking forward to that. Last thing I'd mention.
Scott, if I can interrupt you real quick.
Yes, sir.
Over the weekend, I stumbled upon something that might help you in the future board as you address short-term rentals. And that was the Dalles in Hood River County. It sounds like they have a building inspection. So like when you buy a home and you get a home inspector come in and inspect your home, that they mandate that for short-term rentals in Hood River County. So I haven't looked into it because it won't be something this board addresses, but I'd be very curious why they did that and why they require a building inspection before they issue a short-term rental permit.
Thank you. I appreciate that. In the last jurisdiction I worked for, we were working on a short-term rental policy. We didn't get there before I left, but it did include building inspections because your people who stay there are trusting that it's been inspected and it's safe for, fire, life, and
There's
safety
state
issues.
benchmarks we have to
Yeah.
meet.
Yeah. So I thank you for that. We'll
Thank
definitely
you.
look into the Dalles.
I believe Hood River was the main one. I think the Dalles have it, but I know Hood River does.
Okay. Thank you. The last thing I'd like to mention is Lori, Evan, and I met with about a dozen representatives from Yakama Nation, staff members, not any tribal council, of course. Excellent meeting. We're very welcome, especially I'd say by the tribal members. There were about 8 members of the tribe who were also employees of the tribe. Then there were 4 who were employees of the tribe, not members of the tribe. And I'd say in general speaking, the members of the tribe were just incredibly welcoming, thankful that we were there. The employees of the tribe are also welcoming, but they're also a little defensive because they feel a real mission for who they're working for. But we had a great meeting. The real focus of it was on better communication, how to involve them in early in applications, invite them to certain pre-application meetings so they have information sooner, can possibly make contact with the developers sooner rather than get tied up later on. Better communication with certain SEPA reviews, especially ones, not necessarily ones that have applicants to them, because I feel like we do need to make sure we're on a very tight time frame when there's an applicant involved. When it's something like a critical areas ordinance, though, a more general plan, I feel like we can give them a little more time because it's overall for the benefit of the community. There's no applicant waiting for it. So we did talk about providing a little bit extra time beyond the minimum. So I think we had a very good meeting, talked about having future ones, and I think it was a good start to some relationship building.
That was good.
That's all that we had to say, unless Evan, you wanted to add in.
No, I'm good.
Okay.
Thank
Laura
you.
was here a
I
little
look
bit
forward
ago.
to your document.
Is there any questions you have for me?
No, sir.
A lot of pressure.
Thank you.
Thank you very much.
You're welcome.
Thank you.
Thank you, guys.
Okay, Mr. Hunter, thank you. You'll have to see if the girls will switch out every other week and put you first or him first, or. Uh-oh. Thank you.
Okay, we'll
You-
be quick.
You always catch me reading.
So we'll be quick. Consent agenda's done. Thank you. We have our final pay estimate to Midway Underground for the Sundale project in the amount of $66,391.64. That is the final pay estimate for, and that project is officially pretty much complete. We chip sealed it last week. Okay, go
How's
ahead.
the weather on that chip seal? Is it good out there?
Yeah, we got 50 degrees one day.
Okay.
Yeah, so that being said, all our construction projects have been completed for the year and are in various states of closure. Road design, Sunnyside Road overlay is on ad. We will be opening bids on December 17th. The bridge repair bundle project, staff's reviewing 90% plans sent to us by the consultant. Biggleton Highway overlay, we will be looking forward to awarding to the low bidder on the consent agenda next week. White plastic edge lines, we're still working towards a December ad with bid opening in January. Curve warning signs, still working with WashDOT on approvals, final plans and advertisement. The road safety plan update, we got through our review and WashDOT is currently reviewing that draft consultant agreement.
Okay, on the maintenance side, we're back to doing some Bickleton Highway widening when we're not doing winter work. On the west side, we've started the early shift because we've needed to sand. It's been pretty icy a couple days up in the higher country, the upper ends of Snowden and some areas on Courtney. We're also doing some grading of roads, some brushing and cleaning culverts. Upcoming the facilities stuff. A lot of work was accomplished this week during Thanksgiving. Contractors worked pretty much all the days to get most of it done. We'll still be, like I said, when we're done, we'll be 95% complete by the end of the year. Just a few things. Events, Christmas Bazaar is this Friday. Starts this Friday at the Dallasport Community Center. Jail upgrade events is still the last of the common areas for the events is December. They're supposed to be delivered December 17th. We're going to do the water bottle installation at White Salmon on December 19th. And the community center, Dallasport Community Center, which is the back porch, and then putting up the sign will be finished this week. And the only thing we have on the follow-up is the airport. There's a lot of discussion about that. Again, thanks to Commissioner Zoller for all her efforts to keep this project moving. For people that don't know, this project was slated, it actually started back in 2019. It's when it was actually proposed and Richard was told to go out and look for dollars for this project. So this project has been around a long time. I gave the first estimate back in 2019. So yeah, this has been a long project. With that, to give you the update, we revamped the plans like we talked about to make our project fit the funding that we have. We will bring in plans just to give the board a heads up. Next week, we are scheduled to go to ad on the 18th of this month. It's a 4-week ad, so we would open in January, around January 18th. And that is for the civil portion of the work, the first phase. And then we are working with the college and we are working through what the facility will look like. That will follow probably in January, late January, early February. That will go out to ad. And that's kind of where we stand. Like I said, we will have plans, civil plans, and maybe facility layout plans for the board. So the board is aware of what's going on next week.
Oh, good.
And are you working with the airport board and airport manager on that?
Yes, we are. Yes, we're working with the airport board. We have to work with Dallasport Water District. They're just like commissioners.
The city, the engineers.
Yes, a lot of players. Again, we can't thank Commissioner Zoller, FAA, EDA. She's helped knock down some barriers.
Well, I couldn't do anything on everything I work on without good staff. And I appreciate your department more than you know. And I've seen the work you've done on this. Fast and furious, adding it to all the other work that you do. So I've been thankful. It wouldn't have moved forward. So
And that's all we have.
that was easy. Mr. Christopher, any questions or comments?
No.
Okay,
No questions.
Thank you.
thank you. You what? Oh, good morning. How are you?
Morning. Well, thank you.
Karen Carter.
Chair, while she's doing that, I would make a motion to approve final pay estimate on Sundale Old Highway 8 in the amount of $66,391.64.
Second motion.
Motion and a second. Any discussion? Hearing none. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Aye. Motion passes. Thank you.
You gonna do payroll benefits?
Madam Chair, I would make a motion to approve the accounts payable warrants in the amount of $274,590.16.
Second motion.
Motion and a second. Any discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Motion passes. Thank you. Good morning, Sharon.
Good morning.
Good to see you.
Nice to see you too. So I'm just providing my quarterly department update. And on transportation, I'd previously talked about that we'd submitted, with permission of the board, a grant for the Washington State Department of Transportation Consolidated Grant Program to do a connector route shuttle between the White Salmon Hood River Fix route and the Goldendale to Dalles route to connect through Lyle. And that's been submitted and in process. And right now, it will, this week on Thursday, we do presentations to the Regional Transportation Advisory Committee. They have a subcommittee that will do the project rankings because for our region, we're assigned different levels of rankings that provide additional points in the grant application. And so I just have a summary of what projects are in our region that have been submitted and will be ranked. There'll be a recommendation from the subcommittee that we do presentations on to the Regional Transportation Advisory Committee, and then they will submit that final recommendation to the grant, to WASDOT, and that will go into play in terms of determining project rankings for funding. So again, we won't really know until June if we have funding for the next biennium, which runs July through June, so July 2025 through, and it's actually a biennium, so it would be a 2-year cycle for that. And so ours is specifically the cost for operating that and a vehicle. And so we're hopeful that we'll be successful in that because we've had, a lot of feedback, a lot of requests for folks to be able to have more connection because that will allow folks to get from one end of the actually all the way to even Yakima because folks can get on PADO public passage transportation that has stops here in Goldendale and Georgeville and connects over into Yakima. So
it is kind of a weird disconnect. There's just a hole there.
Yeah, and it related to the funding that was available at the time for the other 2 routes from the main population centers. And but I just wanted to also just bring up that, our hope is to also schedule a meeting in early January with the new commissioners also and Kathy Fitzpatrick with McHead and our mobility manager to kind of talk about the gorge transit strategy and kind of some of the planning that has gone on and the hope that a lot of that by state as well as working, through our whole region that we can access more financial support and grants and that to provide more transportation service. We're definitely benefiting from, like the Gorge Pass and the revenue that's derived from that to help support more access for citizens of Klickitat County to get around and to bring people, in tourism even to the area. So we've definitely seen and had a lot of feedback from folks about how much progress has been made over the recent years, of course, with our dip during COVID, but then bouncing back, and there's definitely more transportation available, fixed route wise, that's based on people's schedules and is actually more affordable and cost effective. We're still, our dial-a-ride service is still very much in demand. We are having, there are some planning meetings specifically working with what they refer to as NEMT, which is the non-emergency medical transportation, which is one of the contracts we have with the state of through the state of Washington with Community in Motion, where we have revenue, contract revenue that comes in for providing medical transportation services for folks that are in Klickitat County that are on Medicaid medical services. And was some recent kind of guidance sent out by CMS about improving some consistency as well as kind of rates. And we've been addressing specifically with Community in Motion, which is the brokerage that our recipients have to access to get approval for rides or gas vouchers to, with some of the challenges that people have faced with extended wait times on hold to try and schedule those kind of things. And so we have some upcoming meetings and planning to try and help improve that service and also our reimbursement for that service. So the other is I previously noted that Norma Pickett, my operations manager, would be, retiring, and she has an official notice that she's provided to me. So she is going to be leaving the early part of March, but also has vacation time to use up in that time. So I'm working with HR department regarding the position posting. We have internal candidates that are interested, and so we'll look at doing an internal posting and kind of go from there. But we'll be having some changes in training and transition time that'll be coming up in my department. We also have another driver that's retiring at the end of this year, but it looks like we have a replacement lined up, and we do anticipate several more retirements of long-term drivers coming up in next year, and are hopeful that we'll be able to fill those. We've been actually very successful with our retirements that we had up here in Goldendale and new drivers that have been able to. We've been fortunate to have some really great folks join our team. So in terms of nutrition, we will be looking at increasing the suggested donation amount for our senior meals. And that goes in hand with other, expenses that continue to increase. We haven't done an increase in over 10 years because it's always one of those things that is challenging, because even though it's a suggested donation, most of our seniors are very much, if they don't have those funds to pay that amount, they don't want to participate, and we don't want to discourage folks, especially our folks that are most in need, from participating in the congregate meal sites and or accessing home delivered meals. So we continue to emphasize that it's a suggested donation, but I would say that the majority of our seniors that participate in ours provide that, or we also have people often that provide more. And we do also just get checks from folks that write to donate to our senior meal program. And so currently, and it's been again for about 12 years, $3.50 per meal for seniors 60 and older. And then, so we're looking at increasing that to $4, so 50 cents. And that in part is, again, we were getting some additional COVID funds. And so that was really kind of carrying through some of those increases. But we have some more substantial increases that are happening now. So we had like a new lease for our space with Lyle that we, hadn't increased in 20 years, which is, reasonable for that space, and our volunteers that provide those nutrition services to have that. And then we just had our Goldendale Senior Center lease was expiring this year and slated to renew. So I have that, which I'll be submitting for consent agenda, but they're increasing our rental, a monthly rental amount has been $2,000 a month up to $2,500 a month for the use of the senior center on Tuesdays and Thursdays. So that's looking at going into effect in January. So that 50 cents doesn't sound like much, but based on the number of meals that we do serve, that typically is going to equate to help offset that increase in our rental rate as well in the new year. So again, I do have, and the lease for the Goldendale Senior Center it goes up to $2,500 a month starting in January. It will be another 5-year lease. But we'll also include there's a caveat in there to make sure each year that we're adjusting for consumer price index up or down for that rental amount. So we'll make sure to flag that each year. So there could be a slight increase each year for that rent, and then we relook again in 5 years. And the space it's not only just, we have it 2 days a week, the senior center, and we're able to do other activities. There also have been very flexible if we have other days of the week or programs where we've put on a special program, they've made the space available to us without additional costs. And then of course we have all our food and supplies that are kept on site year round, every day, so and there's additional kind of pieces in that. So one of the things that did come up yesterday, we had one of the freezers did go out over at the senior center, which of course full of frozen food that is of a lot of value. So I was able to, Jeff Hunter with Public Works was able to get a freezer delivered over there to us to use temporarily until the freezer can be repaired or replaced at the senior center, because they have some available that's not needed until like spring. So
that was lucky.
Yes. So again, it's great to be able to have
it before you lost all the food.
Yes. So everything is no loss of food in the process. So and very thankful again to other departments and support within the county to be able to manage that. So we have that on loan for right now until that can be managed. But that's primarily items for update. Any questions or?
Mr. Christopher, any questions for senior services?
No, I don't. Thank you.
Good job.
One thing I can say is we're constantly putting out fires everywhere except for in your department.
Yep.
And that
So don't think of starting it.
Don't you?
Agree.
And we have our issues that come up, and I know, we had a recent thing in the paper where somebody was, and we've had to call the police regarding some situations, just per policy and safety of staff. But for the most part, we were able to kind of put out fires, internally and address challenges. But I want to, definitely call out to all, the staff in my department and that too. And it's especially this time of year is a challenging time because there's a lot going on with, PUD assistance, Medicare, and a lot of people elevated over, challenges and stresses. And staff have, just really go out of their way to try and help people and assist them and keep up a smile on their face. And so I really appreciate, I've got really great staff and good caring people within senior services and Mount Adams Transportation.
I have Aging and Disability Board this week. Anything for you? Anything you're looking for? Anything I can carry for you to them?
More money.
Money. Your food program.
We always ask for more
Yeah.
money. They always know. Sharon's the
Maybe,
one
maybe
that's always
food
asking for.
program.
Yeah.
I'll ask some food program questions. I know we're very fortunate compared to other counties in, they've remarked several times because I'm on a board of 5 different counties. How the heck do you guys do it? You provide so much. I said, because we have a good director and she works hard, and you've built a great program. And we offer a lot more in Klickitat County for seniors than other counties do.
Well, we just, in terms of just looking at, it's going to be hard to know what's going to come down the pike
Yes,
with
it is.
changes in
For
administrations
everybody.
because, ours is always like, it's kind of that, we're feast or famine. So we're hopeful that we're going to at least stay more in those higher end areas, but more of what we're looking at though too, and that's something there's a lot, I guess, of questions related to, and I know there's going to be more work towards what'll be happening with the long-term care insurance. There's a lot that's going to be asked of the area agencies on aging and then of us to help people navigate that particular program, as well as just challenges with, again, more requests, but not enough resources to add people to do that. So we have people that everybody in my department wears a lot of hats and has, pretty broad base of knowledge to try to do it, but there is a limit, to people's capacity too. So, so we're just
Good
doing
job
what we can, but-
juggling and keeping it all going.
So,
And I
Thank
just
you.
want to say it's been an absolute pleasure to work with you these last 4 years.
well, thank you. It has been with you as well, and wish you the best in your future endeavors too. So, thank you very much.
Thank you. Okay. Ready?
Madam Chair, I would make a motion to recess for the lunch hour, noting we will be back at 1 p.m.
Second the motion.
Motion and a second. Any discussion? Hearing none. All those in favor?
All right.
All right.
Aye, motion passes. Thank you. Good afternoon. It's 1 o'clock and welcome back to the Klickitat County Commissioners' regular meeting for December 3rd. And we will start with new business. I don't see anything under new business. Did you have anything, Mr. Anderson? Mr. Christopher, you have anything for new business?
No.
Okay, thank you. So we'll move on to unfinished business. So we have HR Director Rob Van Cleve. I had to read your name. Too much lunch.
Good afternoon, Commissioners. Before you today, you have a series of resolutions dealing with the official transfer of the jail from the Sheriff's Office to the Board of County Commissioners under the Department of Corrections. The first motion is actually the first resolution actually deals with the transfer and all the conditions of the transfer, and then the ones that follow are just other contracts that we were able to like in the letter to the Civil Service Commission, and then a couple other contracts where we were able to get set up and ready to go pending if this was approved.
Okay.
So I'm here to answer any questions you might have.
Any questions from you, Mr. Anderson? I have none.
You have something?
No, I do not. I have no questions. I've worked my way through it, so.
No, Madam Chair, I have no questions. Sorry.
Mr. Christopher?
I do not.
Okay. So the resolution needs a motion.
Sorry. Hold on. Yeah, all four of them will require
Okay, each one separately.
a vote,
Okay.
yes.
Having a hard time getting into it. Madam Chair, we have before us a resolution in the matter of formally transferring the jail operations from the Klickitat County Sheriff to the Board of County Commissioners, Department of Corrections, as provided under RCW 70.48.090, paren 4. My motion is to approve.
Mr. Christopher, so I will step down and second. Any discussion? Hearing none.
I would just like to thank staff. This has been a very long slog to get through this, and it's a lot of work. It's taken us
249 days.
Okay, thank you very much. 249 days to get through this. And I have a lot of hope for the future of the Corrections Department. I have a lot of faith in our new head of the Corrections Department. And I hope that the Sheriff's Department and all of our other electeds do everything within their power to ensure that it's a success. We are a small community, we're a small family, and I hope it works out as well. But I just wanted to thank all of the time that staff and the other electeds have put in to make sure that this is a process.
Yeah, and I'd like to say thank you as well to staff. It would not have happened without 249 solid days of hard work for all the paperwork and all the investigations and everything we've had to do to find what we needed to do. And there's a lot of unsung partners out there with the state and the government agencies that have helped and came alongside and provided assistance and information. But a special thanks to you, Mr. Van Cleve, and to Jen for the financials that she did on top of all of her other duties that have been really heavy. I really, truly appreciate the work you've done.
Thank you.
Any more discussion? Mr. Christopher, you're unmuted. Do you have your hand raised?
Nope.
Okay. So end of discussion. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Those opposed?
Nay.
Thank you.
Before you do the next one, I'd like to thank you for your comments. And I think last week I tried to mention the 60-some people that have worked on this, and thank you for thanking Jen, but I'd also like to thank Casey. I wouldn't have been able to work on this if she hadn't stepped up and done 1,000 different things. It just wouldn't have happened. So
Thank you. Okay. So
Madam Chair, we have before us the official notification to the Klickitat County Civil Service Commission regarding the transfer of the jail to the Board of County Commissioners, or the Board of Commissioners, Department of Corrections. My motion is to approve.
I'll step down in second. Any discussion? Hearing none. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Those opposed?
Nay.
Okay, let's straight in. Okay. The next motion. Are you
Yeah.
ready?
Trying to get them straight here.
Yeah.
Service. It's lexical. I'm missing.
Testing services.
Yeah, I'm trying to find the right way to word it though.
Okay.
Madam Chair, we have before us Lexipol agreement with the Klickitat County Department of Corrections. My motion is to approve.
And I'll step down in second. Discussion?
I should just mention that is for $3,438 per unit price per year.
Okay.
And I can give more background if you needed on what it is.
Would you like to do that before?
Yeah, Lexipol is, want of a better term, is where all of the policies and procedures for the jail and the sheriff's office, the patrol side, are housed. So we've created a separate account for the Department of Corrections and split them so that effective on your signature, Lexipol will move all of the corrections related material and information over to the Department of Corrections. And as a side note, our insurance company will reimburse 75% of the cost of this if we agree to certain stipulations. So hopefully the new jail administrator can do that and we can offset this cost.
That'd be great.
I can't find it in here, but I do have it on here. Madam Chair, we have before us an agreement with Public Safety Testing Incorporated. My motion is to approve that for the Board of County Commissioners Department of Correction.
Madam Chair, we
think
haven't
we were-
voted on the previous motion.
Right, we
Oh,
haven't finished
sorry.
our Lexipol.
My bad.
Yeah, no problem. So we had a motion and a second. We had discussion. So all those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. All those opposed?
Nay.
Okay, there you go.
All right.
Thank you.
Madam Chair, we do have before us the pre-employment testing services for the Department of Corrections is an agreement with Public Safety Testing Incorporated. My motion is to approve.
And I'll step down in second. Discussion?
Just I can't find the agreement. Oh, maybe it's here.
So hearing no discussion, would you like to move forward? Are you ready?
Yeah.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Those opposed?
Nay.
Thank you. Motion passes. Okay.
Thank you, Commissioners. I appreciate all your support in throughout this process as well. And if I may, Madam Chair, I'd like to bring Bill Friends, the jail administrator. People are curious. The transfer, as per the resolution, would be at 12:01 this evening. But Bill's been busy. Today is first day orientation and meeting people he's going to be working with. And so I gladly turn it over to Bill.
Excuse me, good morning, or I guess it's good afternoon now. I've been met with a lot of welcome faces and stuff, and I'm eager to get started and work with the stakeholders of the county and see how we can find any improvements that are available, best practices, and just eager for the opportunity to get started and very grateful.
Bill, can you give the public a little background of you and who you are, where you came from?
Yeah, absolutely. So I spent over 25 years at the Department of Corrections, Washington State. I started in Monroe Correctional Complex as a correctional officer, as a sergeant, lieutenant, chief investigator for the investigations division, captain, as a member of our special emergency response team, our SWAT for 15 years. I teach firearms, defensive tactics, things like that, use of force stuff. Yeah, and I just enjoy the job. I find the tidbits of reward in it because they can be hard to find in corrections, but yeah, so I'm eager to share those experiences and learn from the staff here. Yeah.
So one thing I mentioned to the chair, yesterday is, so this will be my last jail update, whether you want Bill to continue on like you did with Scott and planning for weekly updates rolling into the first of the year. I mean, that'll be up to you, of course. But you know, it might be handy to have those.
I would appreciate weekly jail updates as this is a transition period.
Yeah. Build a relationship and anything we can help you with.
Okay.
So,
Yeah, if there's something specific you wanted updated on, like population, anything like that, just if there's something specific you want, just let me know.
okay. Yeah. Oh, I'm sorry, Mr. Christopher.
Thank you. I just wanted to say welcome, Bill. You are highly qualified. I think you will find when you work your way across the street tomorrow that you have a bunch of highly qualified, highly motivated individuals over there that are all good people. And I hope you guys can all work together to make our jail the best it can be. And I know you will. So I appreciate you and thank you for what you're doing.
Thank you, sir.
That's great.
Welcome on board.
Yeah, thank you. We'll move to miscellaneous reports and comments. I see none.
Oh. Yeah, do you have any?
I have none. And Mr. Christopher, is there anything more for you today? Miscellaneous
Nope.
reports, okay. And we have no executive session.
We got an email from McKed this morning. Have you?
I have not looked at it.
Okay,
this
I was
morning.
just wondering
I was
if
busy
you
this
had
morning.
a update from all of your McKed meetings and how you're feeling about that. But
boy, it's such a big subject. So many subjects within MCAD. And some of the meetings have gone up and down this year because of their internal things. I think we're moving forward. I know Richard has been in contact with MCAD about future relationships with MCAD. They have some internal adjustments going on, and we're seeing how we fit into the MCAD picture, being here on the Washington side of the gorge. So I look forward to 2025 with MCAD. I think they offer a lot of valuable services. We have to pick and choose where we fit in, I think, in the future.
I do think that email would be helpful to the two new commissioners if we can make sure we give them a copy and print that out or email it to them or something so they have it.
I agree. That's a great idea. It's good to update. I know you haven't had a
Yes.
chance to review it.
I
but
haven't had a chance to read it. I did have a conversation with them earlier this week. They were asking for an updated training. And I advised them that I thought we should wait on the training if they could offer it after the first year when we divide up boards. There may be a new commissioner that's with MCAD next year. We don't know. We'll have to have those.
We'll decide
Yeah,
that
we have
in
to have those
January.
discussions. So I'll go back and review what email they sent out, but that might have prompted what the email was. But I'll have to look.
It was pretty light from last week, considering that everybody was off for Thanksgiving.
Yeah.
I don't have any other updates. I will be having updates on our Christmas Eve meeting because I have the SEPTI recommendations workshop on the 19th. So I'm glad that we were able to cancel that workshop.
The only other update I have is I have Southwest Washington Aging and Disability this week, and that's one of my favorite boards. They do a lot of good work. And also I think our gals were getting together with everybody else about the upcoming Christmas dinners. So they're gonna be organizing something fun for once.
What day are we doing the dinner?
I believe the 12th for the East End and the 13th for the West End.
Can we get that put on the agenda? It's not on the. Yes, absolutely.
Thought it was on mine. Is that okay? Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, I don't have that on either of the. On
Okay.
mine.
And hours on that, is that 12 to 3? What do we specify hours on that?
At least 11, yeah.
Okay. Because I had a meeting at 3, so I was.
Has anybody, usually there by now, there's a whole thing going around with who's bringing what and all that. Has that been sent out? Who's in charge of that?
It was on your emails earlier.
Okay.
A week ago, maybe.
Oh.
It came in. And as usual, as commissioners have the main dish, the meats. So whatever you guys would like to do.
Well, I've done turkey the last 2, so I
Wanna
would
do
prefer
ham?
to do ham.
That's great. Mr. Christopher, are you, or will you be gone? You'll be here then, but,
No, I'll be leaving after the meeting on Monday. So
okay,
I won't be here that week.
okay.
So are you gonna be gone after Monday till the end of the year then, Commissioner Christopher?
I may be back for that last meeting of the month.
New-
Tentatively, yes, I'll be back, but I don't know for sure.
New Year's Eve?
Yep.
Okay.
Okay, so I will do turkey. And I also have a beef dish that's easy, so I'll do both of those.
Okay.
I like to cook.
Well, that makes one of us.
Mm.
Wow,
This month's gonna fly.
it really will.
Mhm.
Okay. We have some
We
people
do.
in the audience. Are they here for a meeting afterwards or?
No. Oh. Yes, you
We
did.
pulled number 18 for the consent agenda and then it was passed by itself afterwards.
No, it's
No,
going
it was
forward.
pulled and then it was passed.
We had a discussion and then it was passed.
Yes,
By a non-unanimous vote.
correct.
Yeah. We can visit after if you'd like, after session. Okay. Kathy, you're always our ray of sunshine in the afternoon. I'm gonna put you on the spot.
Come on forward, Kathy. Use the mic, please.
There you go.
I have a sad thing to tell everybody. A member of our community and our past economic development officer,
Director.
corrector, and the head of the chamber and many other things, Dana Peck, passed away Thursday on Thanksgiving. His wife called me about 1 o'clock, they're neighbors, and very sad.
Yeah.
He was fighting a very debilitating Parkinson's disease in the last few years, so.
Yeah, he had a
Anyway.
tough go there for a
Yeah,
while.
it's been very hard, but he was a super person,
Yeah.
so.
He did a lot.
Yeah, he's done a lot for the county, and a lot of people worked with him, and we'll miss him.
Absolutely.
But
He was a
on the
great
bright
man.
side, they just finished putting up your Christmas lights outside, and it looks very nice.
Good, good.
Yeah.
That always helps in the winter. Thank you, Kathy, for bringing that forward about Dina. I appreciate it.
Well, Madam Chair, with that sad bit of news, nothing else before the Board of County Commissioners. I would make a motion to adjourn the regular meeting, noting that there will be no workshop scheduled for December 5th, but also noting that our regularly scheduled meeting on Tuesday has been canceled, but a special meeting is being held on Monday, December 9th, and that the agenda will be up at the regular time on Thursday.
So moved.
Motion and a second. Any discussion?
Nope.
Hearing none. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Motion passes. Thank you.
Thank